Chapter 3462. How long will it take to go to all three forbidden areas? Moreover, little madman is not here now. If there is something like the demon force in the three forbidden areas, I don't care. But you will die if you go in. The white-eyed wolf shook his head. Some things seemed simple, but when they were put into practice, they would find that there were many difficulties. I don't think so. Last time, Old Pei and Old Wang said that although the three forbidden areas are dangerous, there doesn't seem to be anything like the demon land. As long as there is nothing like the demon force, then I have nothing to be afraid of. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. Okay, you are awesome. Then who was the one who killed the 6 avatars? The white-eyed wolf asked. I can only sense the location of the incarnations and whether they are alive or dead. I don't know anything else because the distance is too far. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Then it seems that we have to go to these entrances. The white-eyed wolf frowned. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment and said with a smile, anyway, we have to wait for a few days. Why don't we investigate first and find out who it is and think of a way to deal with it in advance? The white-eyed wolf nodded, thought for a moment, and said, now that we are in the Western continent, let's go to the 2 entrances of the Western continent first. What forbidden areas are connected to the Western continent? The Death Glacier and the Heavy Region. Qin Feiyang said. The Death Glacier connected the Western continent and the White Continent. The Heavy Region connected the Western continent and the Southern continent. Then let's go to the entrance of the Heavy Region first. The place where Pei Dason and the others were hiding last time seemed to be outside the Heavy Region. The white-eyed wolf said. Okay. And we can't use the coordinates that Pei Dason gave us before. We must first teleport to the entrance and then slowly approach it. Otherwise, when we appear, we will be ambushed like the incarnations. Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice. This was not a game. They would lose their lives. At the same time. At the entrance of the Heavy Region. In a small valley, a young man in blood-red clothes looked up at the sky with a frown. Behind him, there were 2 other old men in blood-red clothes. Their faces were gloomy. The young man withdrew his gaze and looked at the 2 old men, asking, why did Qin Feiyang send his doppelganger to the Heavy Realm? I don't know. However, the 2nd princess and the 3rd prince have already said that this is not a clone. The 2 of them reminded him. I know it's not a clone. That's not the main point. More importantly, why did he send a clone over? Could it be that he knew we were lying in ambush here? The blood-robed young man raised his eyebrows. Impossible. This was a decision we made after we left the Heaven Cloud Sea. Even if he has divine foresight, there's no way he could have predicted that we would set an ambush here. Unless, at this point, the eyes of the 2 blood-red robed old men trembled. They quickly shook their heads and denied the thought in their hearts. Unless what? The blood-red clothed young man was suspicious. Unless one of us tipped him off. However, that is absolutely impossible. The 2 old men shook their heads. Tipped him off, the blood-red clothed young man murmured and sneered, it's not impossible. Don't forget that little sister of mine. Given the grudge between her and Big Brother, she might do something stupid. The 2 old men looked at each other and warned the blood-red clothed young man, Your Highness, it's best not to make such baseless guesses in the future. Otherwise, if others hear it, they will definitely say that you are trying to sow discord, which will have a negative impact on your reputation. I know. I'm just saying it in front of you. The blood-red clothed young man waved his hand and pondered for a moment before saying, there's one more thing that I don't understand. Qin Feiyang came here to probe, so he should be planning to enter the Heavy Realm. Do you think this is a coincidence, or they want to hide in the Heavy Realm to avoid our pursuit? Or, as we think, they came here with a purpose. Do you mean that they really know the secret of the 4 forbidden areas and want to form an alliance with the 3 forbidden areas? The two old men were surprised. The blood-red-clothed young man said angrily, "How would I know? I'm not a roundworm in his stomach. Aren't I asking you?" The two old men pondered for a while before looking at the blood-red-clothed young man and saying, with Qin Feiyang's intelligence, he knows about the existence of the dragons. It's possible that he has connected the three forbidden areas with a hidden force, but what? The blood-red-clothed young man was suspicious. But even if he can think of this, he can't be sure about the relationship between the dragons and the three forbidden areas. So, I don't think he dares to take this risk and break into the three forbidden areas directly. He will definitely find a way to figure out our situation first. The two old men said. Dares not. You still don't know the guts of Qin Feiyang and his people. I don't think there's anything that they don't dare to do. The blood-red-clothed young man snorted and pondered for a moment before saying in a deep voice, "Well, you can contact the others and see if the same thing has happened." Okay. The two old men nodded and took out a transmission stone to send messages to the followers of the other princes and princesses. Not far away, there was a giant mountain that was about 1,000 zhang tall. At the top of the mountain, a man and a wolf stood at the edge of the cliff, looking at the valley like two ghosts. That's right. It was Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf. At this moment, not only were their auras completely gone, but their bodies were also hidden in the void. Even if someone passed by, they wouldn't be able to detect them. I was wondering why I couldn't find them. It turns out that they are all blocking the entrances. The white-eyed wolf sneered secretly. I have to admit that these people have some brains. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Then shouldn't you thank me? The white-eyed wolf glanced at Qin Feiyang and said telepathically. Thank you. Qin Feiyang was stunned. Of course. If I didn't suddenly think that someone might be guarding against us, would you have sent your incarnation to test us? If you didn't send your incarnation to test us, you would have come here brazenly. Wouldn't you have been caught off guard? The white-eyed wolf looked at Qin Feiyang proudly. Yes, I admit it. You're amazing. Qin Feiyang shook his head helplessly. I know it's your credit, but can't you keep a low profile? It's as if you're afraid that no one will know. Hey. The white-eyed wolf bared his teeth and asked, then is there a need to investigate the other entrances? Of course not. Qin Feiyang shook his head. The white-eyed wolf rolled his eyes and said with a sneaky smile, then do you have any ideas now? Ideas, Qin Feiyang murmured. The princes and princesses were separated now. Moreover, one of them was in the east and the other was in the west. Even if there was a battle, the others wouldn't be able to sense it. For him, this was indeed a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Okay. I'll do it. In the valley. The two old men in blood-red clothes put away the divine voice-transmitting stone and said to the young man in blood-red clothes, you heard it too. Qin Feiyang's doppelgangers appeared at the 6 entrances of the 3 forbidden areas. Bastard. He's obviously here to test us. I don't believe that he's so smart that he can predict everything. Someone must have tipped him off. The young man in blood-red clothes said angrily. The two old men in blood-red clothes looked at each other and didn't know what to say. This was because they also felt that no matter how smart a person was, it was impossible for him to predict everything. Therefore, it was more convincing that someone had tipped him off. However, they didn't want to believe it. After all, they knew the princes and princesses quite well. Although they were fighting openly and secretly, they still had a sense of the big picture. It was impossible for them to destroy the big picture just because of personal grudges. What on earth was going on? The 3 young men in blood-red clothes were lost in thought. The valley fell into a dead silence. Boom! Suddenly, a terrifying divine power emerged like a volcanic eruption. Moreover, this divine power was right above the 3 of them. It could be said that it was very close. The three of them were shocked. They looked up and saw a white figure appear in the void. He was holding a horsetail whisk and was charging at them aggressively. Qin Feiyang. The three of them were shocked. This was too sudden. They didn't expect Qin Feiyang to come out and attack them at this time. They were completely caught off guard. However, the blood dragon blade, which was hiding in the young man in blood-red clothes, reacted at the critical moment. It appeared in an instant and attacked the horsetail whisk. However, it didn't have time to fully recover. With a loud clang, it was sent flying by the horsetail whisk. You didn't expect this, did you? You wanted to ambush me here and catch me off guard. However, you were attacked by me instead. Qin Feiyang smiled coldly. Like a demon god descending to the world, he raised his horsetail whisk and smashed it towards the three people's heads. Take His Highness away and inform the other princesses and princes immediately. One of the old men in blood-red clothes shouted angrily after he forced the other old man and the young man in blood-red clothes to retreat. Then, he transformed into his real body in an instant. It was a blood dragon that was tens of thousands of feet long. It looked as if it was covered in blood and had a murderous aura. You're really not afraid of death? Fine, I'll fulfill your wish. Qin Feiyang's eyes were filled with killing intent. As the horsetail whisk fell, the divine power shattered in all directions. The blood dragon screamed in pain. Its huge body and divine soul exploded in the void and were crushed into pieces. Blood dragon blade, hold him back. The other old man shouted angrily. He grabbed the young man in blood-red clothes and flew away without looking back. At the same time, the young man in blood-red clothes took out his divine voice-transmitting stone. Horsetail whisk, hold him back. Qin Feiyang also let out a shout. The horsetail whisk left his hand and shot towards the blood dragon blade. At the same time, Qin Feiyang used the space-time step and chased after the young man in blood-red clothes and the old man in blood-red clothes. Seeing that the young man in blood-red clothes was activating the sacred voice-transmitting stone, he shouted secretly, "Ancient Castle, come out and help me." However, Ancient Castle didn't respond at all. My dear lord, although they only have one sovereign divine weapon, they are dragons. It's not easy to get this opportunity. Can't you help me? Qin Feiyang felt helpless. Whether it was in the past or now, as long as Qin Feiyang could deal with the situation, Ancient Castle wouldn't show up no matter what he said. Chapter 3463. What should we do? Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered. If Gu Bao didn't appear, he wouldn't be able to catch up with them even if he activated the slaughter zone. Because the slaughter zone was strong in other aspects, but speed was its biggest weakness. How could he let the duck in his mouth fly away just like that? He couldn't accept it. Clang! Suddenly, accompanied by a deafening sound, a black divine light rushed out from between Qin Feiyang's eyebrows. It was Gu Bao. Qin Feiyang was overjoyed and said with a smile, "That's right. The enemies we faced before were too weak, so you didn't have to do anything. But it's different now. Even you might not be able to deal with the enemies we're facing now. You talk too much. Didn't I do this to train you?" Gu Bao said angrily. "Big brother, you've been with me every day. Don't you know me? Take a good look. Do I still need to train now?" Qin Feiyang was speechless. Don't be so smug. No matter who it is, they can only stabilize their mind and state of mind under constant training. Gu Bao then released a monstrous divine aura, shattering the void and the earth as he charged toward the red-clothed youth. "Oh no! Your Highness, you go first." The red-clothed elder's expression changed. He pushed the red-clothed youth away and turned to face Gu Bao. A terrifying power of law burst out. In just an instant, 10 golden lotuses appeared in the sky, exuding a destructive divine aura as they blasted toward Gu Bao. Karma law, the ultimate mystery. Qin Feiyang was shocked. He quickly looked at Gu Bao and shouted, "Keep him alive." Then he waved his hand and a white-eyed wolf appeared. It pointed at the red-clothed youth and shouted, "Go after him." The white-eyed wolf nodded and immediately opened a space-time transmission channel. The other end of the channel was in front of the red-clothed youth. Qin Feiyang immediately rushed in. Before the white-eyed wolf entered the space-time transmission channel, it saw the 10 golden lotuses and shouted, "Sir, you must keep him alive." Then, it also rushed into the space-time transmission channel. Damn it! Seeing Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf chasing the red-clothed youth, the red-clothed elder's face was full of anger. He also turned and flew toward the red-clothed youth. "You still want to save him? You don't take me seriously, do you?" Gu Bao snorted coldly, and his divine might shook the world. The 10 golden lotuses were shattered in an instant. Then, with a flash, he descended above the old man in blood-red robes, and his terrifying divine might surged. Since they wanted to keep him alive, they naturally couldn't kill him. Seeing this, the old man's face was pale, and his eyes were filled with despair the next moment. A destructive aura roared out from his body. Self-detonate. However, trying to self-destruct in front of a sovereign weapon was far too naive. The ancient castle's godly aura poured into the old man's chi-si, causing it to collapse on the spot. "Save the red-clothed youth too." 2. The blood-robed old man roared. The blood dragon blade actually wanted to rescue him, but it had no choice. The horsetail whisk was trying its best to restrain it, so it could not get away. At the same time, when the blood-red-clothed young man saw a space-time crack appear in front of him, he knew that it was Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf who were chasing after him. He turned around without hesitation, activated his supreme-level support divine technique, and fled in another direction. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf appeared from the space-time crack. Seeing this, they raised their eyebrows. "You block him from behind. I'll block him from the front." The white-eyed wolf opened another space-time transmission channel and appeared in front of the red-clothed youth. The red-clothed youth's face changed. He turned around and saw Qin Feiyang coming from behind. The red-clothed youth was restrained by the horsetail whisk, and the red-clothed elder's sea of qi was destroyed. He was imprisoned by Gu Bao. There was no way he could survive. "Run!" The white-eyed wolf sneered. He activated his 3 supreme profound meanings and rushed toward the red-clothed youth like a bolt of lightning. One had to know. Among its 3 profundities, there was also the law of time's momentary time. He was so fast that the naked eye couldn't see him. Behind him, Qin Feiyang also used the space-time step and held the blood-red sword in his hand. This wasn't the slaughter zone. It was the kill formula. But now, the kill character art was also a supreme-level heaven-defying divine art. Its power was many times stronger than before. "I can't accept this. Blood Dragon Realm." The young man in blood-red clothes roared out and a wave of blood-red chi surged out. In an instant, it formed a blood-red barrier that enveloped him. Another forbidden technique? Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf raised their eyebrows. The blood-red sword, the supreme profound meanings of the space-time and the death law hit the barrier at the same time. The barrier only trembled a little. It's indeed a forbidden technique. It's the same as the Black Dragon Realm and the Fire Dragon Realm. This must be a forbidden technique created by the dragons themselves. The white-eyed wolf raised his eyebrows. I'd like to see if this forbidden technique is invincible. Qin Feiyang stepped out and activated his 3,000 clones. The world was immediately flooded with terrifying killing intent because all 3,000 clones had activated the kill formula. Kill! Following Qin Feiyang's shout, the 3,000 incarnations raised their blood-colored swords one after another. The sharpness of their swords could destroy heaven and earth as they slashed towards the blood dragon domain. Buzz! At this moment, inside the barrier, the voice transmission stone in the red-clothed youth's hand shone brightly. The image of a green-clothed woman appeared. She was about 1.75 meters tall and wore a light green dress. Her hair was like a waterfall and her face was beautiful. She exuded a youthful aura. Help! The red-clothed youth roared at the green-clothed woman. The green-clothed woman was stunned. It's Qin Feiyang. Come and save me. The red-clothed youth roared again. Qin Feiyang. The green-clothed woman's eyes trembled. Boom! At the same time, the 3,000 clones charged and the blood dragon realm immediately distorted. Hang in there! The red-clothed youth roared at the barrier. It seems that there is a limit to the blood dragon realm. Qin Feiyang smiled coldly. He waved the blood-colored sword in his hand and furiously chopped down. As his blood-red long sword approached, the bounded domain was shattered with a cracking sound. The 3,000 incarnations waved their hands at the same time, and the blood-red long swords flew out of their hands. The long swords flew toward the red-clothed young man with billowing sword chi. Go! The voice of the ancient castle sounded. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf looked at each other and ignored the red-clothed youth. They activated the moment of time and rushed toward the ancient castle. It would be best if they could kill him, but there was nothing they could do if they couldn't. The green-clothed woman must have received the red-clothed youth's request and was on her way. If they didn't leave now, they wouldn't be able to. After all, they had to get rid of the blood dragon blade. The 3,000 clones also dissipated. When the white-eyed wolf took Qin Feiyang and activated the moment of time and landed next to the ancient castle immediately swept them and the red-clothed elder into the battlefield of the horsetail whisk and the blood dragon blade. Clang! The two sovereign divine weapons attacked the blood dragon blade at the same time. Even though the blood dragon blade was a sovereign divine weapon, it couldn't withstand the combined attack of the ancient castle and the horsetail whisk. Immediately, the blood dragon blade was blown away. Then, the white-eyed wolf opened a space-time transmission channel. The ancient castle and the horsetail whisk took the two of them and the white-eyed wolf into it without looking back. In the blink of an eye. At this moment, with a loud bang, a stone door opened in the sky. 3 figures rushed out at lightning speed. They were the green-clothed woman and the 2 green-clothed elders. When they saw the battle below, their faces darkened. When they saw the space-time transmission channel, a cold light flashed in the green-clothed woman's eyes and she shouted, "Stop them!" The 2 green-clothed elders immediately swooped down. The power of laws surged out and blasted toward the space-time transmission channel. With a loud bang, the space-time transmission channel collapsed, but they didn't see Qin Feiyang and the others appear. The 2 elders looked at each other and frowned slightly. They returned to the green-clothed woman and sighed. They have already escaped. Bastard! The green-clothed woman clenched her hands and looked at the blood dragon blade. The blood dragon blade went straight to where the red-clothed youth was. When it reached the sky, the blood dragon blade released a divine power. The murderous intent and sharpness that filled the sky instantly collapsed and dissipated. But at this moment, the red-clothed youth was nowhere to be found. Is he dead? The green-clothed woman and the 2 elders landed beside the blood dragon blade and asked in a deep voice. Clang! At this moment, more stone doors appeared one after another. These were all space-time transmission divine artifacts. There were also space-time transmission channels. Needless to say, these people must be the other princes and princesses. They were naturally notified by the green-clothed woman and the other 2 elders. Where is he? Everyone glanced around the battlefield and looked at the green-clothed woman, the other 2 elders, and the blood dragon blade. The green-clothed woman looked around and sighed. It seems that other than the blood dragon blade, they have all been wiped out. What? The eyes of the group trembled. They were originally here to ambush Qin Feiyang and the others, but they didn't expect to be ambushed by Qin Feiyang. Why was this person so difficult to deal with? He's not dead. Suddenly, the blood dragon blade said, and a divine power appeared below. Soon, it wrapped up a wisp of blood-red divine soul and returned to him. It was like a strand of hair. It was hard to notice if one didn't look carefully. This was the remaining divine soul of the red-clothed youth. Fortunately, you came in time. Otherwise, his divine soul would have been destroyed. The green-clothed woman heaved a sigh of relief. She looked at the blood dragon blade and asked, was this done by Qin Feiyang's divine weapon? No. It was Qin Feiyang. He has the ability to break the blood dragon domain. You must be careful when you face him in the future. The blood dragon blade warned. He can break the blood dragon domain. The group of princes and princesses couldn't help but turn pale when they heard this. However, they didn't see the black-clothed woman and the white-clothed youth here. Huh, this is so satisfying. In the depths of a mountain. The white-eyed wolf couldn't stop laughing. He finally vented the anger he suffered at the hands of the dragons. Qin Feiyang glanced at the white-eyed wolf and lowered his head. I wonder if the prince is dead. It doesn't matter if he's not dead. Anyway, we've already won this time. The white-eyed wolf waved his paws and turned to look at the red-clothed elder. His eyes suddenly emitted a green light and the corners of his mouth were dripping with saliva. The red-clothed elder was considered a big shot, but he couldn't help but feel scared when he saw the white-eyed wolf's eyes. Chapter 34-64. Don't be afraid. We won't hurt you. The white-eyed wolf bared his fangs. Who would believe that? The old man roared in his heart. He could tell that the old man was up to no good. Let's go to the Black Tortoise realm. The white-eyed wolf looked at Qin Feiyang eagerly. Qin Feiyang looked at the blood-red clothed old man, his face filled with schadenfreude. Being targeted by an ingrate, he could only blame himself for being unlucky. Whoosh! With a wave of his hand, 2 men and 1 wolf, as well as the horsetail whisk and the castle, appeared in the sky above the Devil's Land. This place, the old man looked around in shock. Was this Qin Feiyang's power? At the same time. Below. Pei Dason and Pei Hongyu flew over and looked at the old man suspiciously. Who was this unlucky kid? The white-eyed wolf walked to the old man and smiled. How do you feel about the Black Tortoise realm? The old man in blood-red clothes remained silent. Don't be afraid. I won't hurt you. I'll just take your power of law. The white-eyed wolf smiled and the green light in his eyes became more intense. It was as if he was staring at a delicious cake. The old man's scalp went numb. What did he mean by taking his power of law? You'll understand soon. The white-eyed wolf looked at the horsetail whisk and shouted, hold him down. Boom! The horsetail whisk trembled slightly, and a monstrous power roared out. The red-robed old man was immediately confined in the void. The white-eyed wolf didn't waste any more time. He activated his fighting soul and took the old man's law of cause and effect. Is this his innate superpower that can take the power of law? Pei Dason and Pei Hongyu were also bewildered. They had heard that the white-eyed wolf had such an ability, but it was their first time seeing it with their own eyes. It was unbelievable. Such an innate superpower really existed in the world. What kind of monster was this? Ah, the old man also screamed. His feelings were the most obvious. The power of the nomological laws was being stripped away. It felt as if a large hand was forcibly pulling out the bones in his body one by one. After a while. After successfully extracting the karma law, the ingrate immediately ran back to the castle to fuse with it. After entering the Black Tortoise realm, the ancient castle returned to its original position. The horsetail whisk also withdrew its pressure and sank into Qin Feiyang's body. The old man in the blood-red robe, on the other hand, seemed to have been drained of all his strength. He was paralyzed in the void, not moving at all. However, his face was filled with bewilderment. What's going on? Why couldn't he sense the existence of the law of karma? The old man raised his head slowly and looked at Qin Feiyang, asking, "Tell me, what did it do to me?" "Obviously. It stripped you of the law of cause and effect. In other words, from this moment on, you will lose the law of karma." This might sound unimaginable, but it's all true. Qin Feiyang smiled. What? The old man's eyes trembled, and his face turned pale. Losing the law of cause and effect, what was the difference between that and death? "Bastard, go to hell with me." The blood-red clothed old man suddenly roared in anger. His spirit sense surged out, and pounced on Qin Feiyang. However, Qin Feiyang was indifferent. Although the old man could kill him with the power of the divine soul, there was not only the horsetail whisk in his body, but also Pei Daisen and Pei Hongyu. Pei Daisen and Pei Hongyu would not miss this opportunity to show off. As expected. Seeing this, the two of them attacked almost at the same time, slapping at the old man's divine consciousness. The divine consciousness was shattered on the spot. "How dare you attack the young master?" Pei Daisen's eyes flashed with killing intent. He took another step forward and landed in front of the old man. He raised his arm and slapped at the old man's head. "No!" the old man screamed in horror. However, Pei Daisen turned a deaf ear to him. It was rare for him to show off, so he had to do it perfectly. "Don't kill him yet." However, at this moment, Qin Feiyang said. Pei Daisen was slightly stunned. His palm stopped above the old man's head, and his divine power directly tore the old man's scalp. Blood gushed out and gradually dyed the old man's face red, making him look extremely embarrassed. Qin Feiyang stepped forward and gently pushed Pei Daisen away. He looked at the old man and said with a smile, "Tell me the details about the dragons, and I'll let you live." "Why do you want to know?" The old man looked at Qin Feiyang, still in shock. Qin Feiyang said with a faint smile, "Know yourself and know your enemy. Don't you understand that?" The old man's pupils contracted. He said in disbelief, "Do you really want to fight the dragons to the end? Do you think I'm joking?" Qin Feiyang couldn't help but laugh. It was already a life-or-death situation, and the old man asked such a stupid question. Did the old man really think he was joking? "You're no match for the dragons. The strength of the dragons is not something an ant like you can imagine." The old man laughed. His blood-stained face looked ferocious. "You're courting death," Pei Daisen shouted. However, this time, the old man didn't show any fear. He closed his eyes and waited for death. Pei Daisen raised his eyebrows and turned to Qin Feiyang. "Young master, what do you think?" Qin Feiyang waved his hand and looked at the old man in silence. If this person's cultivation was below the great mastery of the Dominator realm, it would be easy to deal with him. He could just use the slave seal or the puppet technique to forcibly read his memory. However, this person's cultivation was at the peak of the Dominator realm. Forcibly controlling him would definitely backfire. It wasn't easy to capture one of the dragons alive. He wanted to find out more information, but now there was no hope. "I see. I won't ask you about the dragons. Tell me about the other 3 forbidden areas, and I'll let you go." Qin Feiyang thought for a while and said to the old man in blood-stained clothes. "Don't even think about it." The old man in blood-stained clothes sneered. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed with anger. He had thought that this old man was afraid of death. When he was facing Pei Daisen, he didn't pretend to be afraid. However, he didn't expect him to be so stubborn when he asked about the dragons. This was a bit difficult. Because for someone like him, even if he used a blood oath, it would be meaningless. Whoosh! Qin Feiyang took a deep breath. He looked at Pei Dason and said, "Let's kill it. When the time comes, cut up its body and place it in the various forbidden areas. We will gift it to the fated people of the Black Tortoise world." Pei Dason nodded. Suddenly, he felt a little envious of the people in the Black Tortoise world. Whether it was the crystal veins, the spirit veins, the divine arts, the divine weapons, or the pill recipes, they were all given by Qin Feiyang. For example, this old man in blood-stained clothes. His true form was a blood dragon. He had the cultivation of a perfected sovereign. Any dragon scale, drop of dragon blood, or piece of dragon meat could bring great fortune to the people in the Black Tortoise world. After Pei Dason killed the old man in blood-stained clothes and divided his divine soul, the old man's body immediately turned back into the body of a divine dragon. It was indeed a blood dragon. Immediately after, the brother and sister were about to leave with the blood dragon's body. But suddenly, a figure broke through the air like lightning. Pei Dason and Pei Hongyu were stunned. Someone dared to trespass into the devil's land. Stop! The two of them immediately let out a shout. The person immediately stopped in the void. It turned out to be an old man in green clothes. His face was flushed and he looked very energetic. "Lord Sovereign." The old man in green clothes looked at Pei Dason and Pei Hongyu suspiciously. When he saw Qin Feiyang, a trace of joy appeared on his face. However, when he saw the blood dragon, he was even more excited. Immediately, he hurriedly flew in front of Qin Feiyang and bowed, "Greetings, Lord Sovereign." "You are?" Qin Feiyang looked at the old man suspiciously. He had never seen him before. However, there was a smell of wine on the old man's body. The old man in green clothes hurriedly said, "I am Zhao Si, the person in charge of brewing the Black Tortoise divine wine." The person in charge of brewing the Black Tortoise divine wine. Qin Feiyang was stunned. He knew that someone was in charge of brewing the Black Tortoise divine wine, but he didn't know who it was. Because he didn't care much about these things. After all, he had never been interested in wine. Yes. I really didn't expect to meet the Lord Sovereign in this trip to the Devil's Land. It's really a blessing of 3 lifetimes. Zhao Si looked at Qin Feiyang with a face full of admiration. Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed, and asked, "Then did you get the permission of Pai Lupi and the others to come to the Devil's Land?" "No." Zhao Si shook his head. "You dare to barge in without them?" Pei Dason frowned. "I had no choice. Previously, I contacted Pai Lupi and Theta Wang more than once, but they didn't respond. I had no choice but to enter the Devil's Land without permission. Lord Sovereign, please forgive me. I really didn't mean to." Zhao Si was terrified. "It's fine." Qin Feiyang waved his hand and asked with a smile, "Why are you looking for Pai Lupi and the others?" Recently, we have developed a new divine wine that requires a special material, so I wanted to tell them." Zhao Si nodded. "A new divine wine?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. "Yes. We have a hunch that once this divine wine is born, it will definitely be better than the Black Tortoise divine wine." Zhao Si's face was full of confidence. "Is that so?" Qin Feiyang was surprised. But this special material," at this point, Zhao Si glanced at the blood dragon, his eyes full of desire. Qin Feiyang was stunned. He turned to look at the blood dragon and asked suspiciously, "The material you want is a divine dragon?" "No, no, no." Zhao Si hurriedly waved his hand and said, "That's too exaggerated. I only want dragon blood. I thought it would be difficult to find, but I didn't expect there to be ready-made ones." Lord Sovereign, you see, he looked at Qin Feiyang carefully. Qin Feiyang smiled and looked at Pei Dason and the others, saying, the two of you cooperate with him. If there is anything he needs, try to satisfy him. Yes. The two of them nodded respectfully. Thank you, Lord Sovereign. Zhao Si was pleasantly surprised. In the past, he had heard Pai Lupi and Theta Wang say that this Lord Sovereign was friendly and amiable, but he didn't believe it. Now that he saw him, it was indeed so. He was a wise lord. Where is the base of your wine? Qin Feiyang asked curiously. Zhao Si smiled and said, it's just outside the Devil's Land, not far away. If Lord Sovereign is interested, you can go take a look. When I'm free, I'll go take a look. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. Okay. Zhao Si nodded. Qin Feiyang thought for a moment and asked, how many people do you have in total? Including me, there are a total of 15 people. All of them are famous winemakers in the Black Tortoise world. Zhao Si said. So few? Qin Feiyang was surprised. It's not few. After all, not every winemaker is at the level of a master. Our principle is to rather have nothing than to have something substandard. Besides, what we brew is divine wine, not ordinary wine. So we pay more attention to quality than quantity. Zhao Si chuckled. Okay, I don't understand anyway. You can do as you see fit. But while brewing wine, you can't neglect your cultivation. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. Lord Sovereign, thank you for your concern. Zhao Si bowed. Go. Qin Feiyang waved his hand. Yes. Zhao Si respectfully responded, then looked at Pei Dason and Zhao Si, cupping his hands and saying, thank you for your trouble. No problem, lead the way. Pei Dason waved his hand. Even Qin Feiyang was so humble, they naturally didn't dare to put on airs. Then, the two of them took the blood dragon and followed behind Zhao Si, flying out of the Devil's Land. It's better than the Black Tortoise divine wine, I'm really looking forward to it. Qin Feiyang murmured, a faint smile creeping on his face. He glanced at the desolate Devil's Land and disappeared into the ancient castle. Chapter 3465. In the blink of an eye. Black Tortoise World. 1,000 years had passed. Outside, a day had already passed. The white-eyed wolf's karma law had long been successfully integrated, and his cultivation had broken through to the greater mastery sovereign realm as he wished. And now, he alone had mastered the supreme mysteries of the four strongest laws. To be honest, it was impossible not to be envious. But it was indeed as the white-eyed wolf often said, this kind of thing could not be envied. Qin Feiyang had long been used to it, silently comprehending the law of force, the law of wind, and the law of war. The next morning. Buzz. Suddenly. A sound came from the divine sound transmission stone. Qin Feiyang opened his eyes and took out the divine sound transmission stone. When he looked down, his expression froze. It was actually the sea lion sending him a message. He hurriedly activated the divine sound transmission stone, and the sea lion's phantom immediately appeared, immediately saying, Brother Qin, the divine sound transmission stone that you gave me suddenly made a sound, someone should be sending you a message. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed, and he said with a smile, I'll be right there. Okay. The sea lion nodded, and the phantom directly dissipated. Qin Feiyang put away the divine sound transmission stone, got up and walked out of the cultivation room, shouting, White-eyed wolf, come out and work. However, there was no response. Qin Feiyang was slightly taken aback, releasing his perception, he was actually not in the castle. He walked out of the castle and scanned the surrounding medicinal fields. Soon, he saw the white-eyed wolf in one of the medicinal fields on the left. He saw the white-eyed wolf lying on a thick tree of fortune, holding a wine jar and eating a fruit of fortune, looking as comfortable as it could be. Qin Fei Yang's face darkened, it really knew how to enjoy. Immediately, he took a step and landed below the tree of fortune. Just as he was about to speak, he suddenly sniffed and smelled an intoxicating wine aroma. This wine aroma was completely different from the black tortoise divine brew. Just by smelling it, he couldn't help but feel lightheaded, as if he was floating between the clouds. Qin Fei Yang was astonished. What kind of wine was this? Even he couldn't help but salivate. Suddenly, he looked at the wine jar in the white-eyed wolf's arms. The wine jug wasn't big, it was also made of precious jade. Compared to the black tortoise divine brew's jug, it was much smaller. Huang Xiaolong estimated that it could only hold about 2 jin. The aroma of the wine seemed to be coming from the wine pot. He's out. Do you want a bite too? The white-eyed wolf grabbed the wine jug and took a sip. He looked at Qin Fei Yang and grinned. Try it. Qin Fei Yang nodded. The white-eyed wolf was stunned. Was he really going to drink it? It was a little reluctant to leave. Hurry up. Qin Fei Yang urged. Just one bite, not too much. The white-eyed wolf landed in front of Qin Fei Yang and carefully handed the wine pot to Qin Fei Yang. Qin Fei Yang rolled his eyes. The wine jug was indeed very small. He could grab it with one hand. He put it at the tip of his nose and smelled it. His eyes lit up. Then he put it at the corner of his mouth and took a sip, savoring the taste. Not only was the wine pure, soft, and smooth, it also contained the essence of a divine dragon. Qin Fei Yang looked at the white-eyed wolf and asked, "Is this the new divine brew that Zhao Si and the others developed?" "Yes." The white-eyed wolf nodded and said in admiration, "I have to say that these people are really good at making wine. They can actually extract the essence of dragon blood and infuse it into the wine. I heard from Zhao Si that if a mortal drank a sip of this wine, they would definitely be reborn. Something like that. After all, this is the essence of dragon blood. And it seems to have infused the essence of many herbs. Not to mention mortals, even imperishable realm cultivators can benefit greatly from drinking this wine." Qin Fei Yang nodded. The white-eyed wolf snatched the wine jug from Qin Fei Yang's hand and chuckled. "You don't like to drink anyway, so don't waste it." Qin Fei Yang's face darkened. Although he didn't like to drink, there was no need to say that it was a waste. The white-eyed wolf asked, "Do you know how they make this wine? How is it brewed?" Qin Fei Yang was suspicious. "I don't know the process, and I don't care. I just drink it. But I heard that the brewing process is very complicated. Just the water used to make this wine is very difficult to obtain." The white-eyed wolf said. "Is it that exaggerated?" Qin Fei Yang was stunned. "It's not exaggerated at all. Because the water used to make this wine is collected from morning dew." The white-eyed wolf said. "Morning dew?" Qin Fei Yang was slightly stunned and said, "Isn't it just dew? Don't think that it's ordinary dew. This is the morning dew collected from the herbs. And I heard that it can't be collected on the same day. After all, the morning dew has to absorb the essence of the herbs. For example, the morning dew that appeared this morning. They used some special methods to seal the morning dew in the herbs. After the morning dew has absorbed enough essence, it can be collected. It seems that there's something else to do. It's too complicated. I listened for a while and then I was too lazy to listen anymore." In short, Zhao Si said that it would take at least 10 years to brew a bottle of wine like this. Originally, if it was placed in the crystal veins and spirit veins and nourished for thousands or even tens of thousands of years, the taste would be even better. However, I couldn't resist and got 2 bottles in advance. The white-eyed wolf bared his teeth. 10 years. Qin Fei Yang was extremely shocked. Just a jug of wine would take 10 years. The white-eyed wolf laughed and said, in fact, there's only one purpose for telling you this. In the future, when we're outside, don't be so generous. We don't even have enough to drink ourselves. Qin Feiyang was speechless when he heard this. But to be honest, he was a little reluctant to give away such wine. After all, this jug of wine was the result of 10 years of hard work by Zhao Si and the others. Is the dragon blood enough? Qin Feiyang asked. Yes. I heard that each jug of wine only uses 10 drops of dragon blood. The dragon blood of that blood dragon is enough for them to brew at least hundreds of thousands of jugs. Let's talk about it later. Such a big dragon, are we afraid that we don't have enough dragon blood? The white-eyed wolf bared his teeth. Haha, hearing this, Qin Feiyang couldn't help but laugh. Looking at the white-eyed wolf, he asked, you have 2 jugs, right? Yes. The white-eyed wolf nodded, then looked at Qin Feiyang warily and said, what do you want? Give me a jug. Qin Feiyang stretched out his hand. No. The white-eyed wolf shook his head as if guarding against a thief. Hurry up, we still have to go to the heavenly cloud sea later. That little princess of the dragons sent a message to us. It may be that the first prince of the dragons has come out. If it's really the first prince of the dragons, then he must have followers by his side. Maybe you can get another supreme mystery of the strongest law. Qin Feiyang said. Really? The white-eyed wolf quivered and quickly asked. N. Qin Feiyang nodded. Okay. The white-eyed wolf quickly took out another jug of wine and handed it to Qin Feiyang, saying, you prepared this for the little rabbit. N. This little rabbit is strong and has a terrifying background. It doesn't lack anything. We can only use wine to bribe it. Qin Feiyang nodded and left the black tortoise world with the white-eyed wolf. Chapter 3466. Heavenly Cloud Sea. When Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf arrived above the sea, they found that there was an additional island below. At the edge of the island, rocks were piled up, looking extremely messy. But inside, there were rolling mountains and verdant vegetation, full of vitality. In the center, there was a giant mountain, and on top of the mountain, there was a sea lion. Sensing Qin Feiyang in the white-eyed wolf's aura, the sea lion immediately looked up and shouted, Brother Qin, Brother Wolf, I'm here. One man and one wolf looked down at the sea lion, then took a step forward and landed in front of the sea lion. What's going on with this island? The white-eyed wolf glanced at the island and asked suspiciously. The sea lion said, I moved this from afar. From now on, this place will be called Sea Lion Island. The white-eyed wolf nodded and said with a sneaky smile, even the territory has been settled. You want to be the king of this area. The sea lion laughed. The sea beasts in this area were not strong. Most of them were at or below the imperishable realm. So, with its half-step dominator cultivation, it could indeed be the king of this area. Don't worry. If you need our help in the future, just let us know. The white-eyed wolf bared its teeth. Okay. The sea lion was overjoyed. With Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf's protection, its future would definitely be limitless. Qin Feiyang asked, where's the divine sound stone? The sea lion took out the divine sound stone and said, before you came, it rang for a while. The other party probably has something urgent to talk to you about. Qin Feiyang took the divine sound stone. Buzz. Soon. A shadow appeared. It was the silver-haired woman. The silver-haired woman raised her eyebrows and said, what are you doing? I've been talking to you for a long time and you didn't respond. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and said, I'm busy. You're really a busy man. But that's true. Yesterday, he almost killed my 4th brother at the entrance of the heavy domain. The silver-haired woman looked at Qin Feiyang meaningfully and asked, I'm really curious. Even I didn't know that they were lying in ambush at the entrance of the 3 forbidden zones. How did you know? You don't know. Qin Feiyang was surprised. I don't know. Due to certain reasons, they are somewhat repulsed by me. Thus, generally speaking, they will be on guard against me. There was a hint of sadness in the silver-haired woman's eyes. I think it's because you are too smart. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. The silver-haired woman chuckled and said, you really know how to talk. Even I can't help but feel slightly smug. But then again, how exactly did you find out? I guessed. Qin Feiyang said. You guessed. The silver-haired woman was stunned. This answer was a bit unexpected. When she learned about this, she also thought that someone had tipped off Qin Feiyang, because this was not a problem that a normal person could think of. But unexpectedly, it turned out to be a guess. You don't believe me? Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. I do. The silver-haired woman nodded. If it was Qin Feiyang, it might really be possible. You came looking for me this time to ask about this matter. If that's the case, then you are wasting my time. Qin Feiyang said. Don't be anxious. Such a small matter is not worthy of me specially sending a message to you. There was a trace of disdain in the silver-haired woman's eyes. Then, she said, the person you are looking forward to has already come out of the dragon's nest. Really? Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf looked at each other. Their eyes flashed. Yes. He seems to be in the demon palace now. However, according to what I heard, not only does he have a sovereign divine weapon with him, but he also has 4 followers. There is even news that the divine child is with him. The silver-haired woman said in a deep voice. Divine child? Qin Feiyang frowned. He seemed to have heard them mention this divine child last time. And this divine child seemed to be very familiar with him. He had wondered if it could be the son of the ice dragon. The woman said, I heard from this divine child that he is an old friend of yours. Old friend? Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf looked at each other and a figure immediately appeared in their minds. It seemed that it was really the prince of the dragons. However, I am not sure whether the divine child has left the dragon's nest and is with my brother. You will have to investigate this matter yourself. Of course, I also believe that even if this divine child is here, he won't be able to stop you from killing him. The silver-haired woman smiled. Qin Feiyang looked at the silver-haired woman and shook his head. It is not good to be too smart. It is also not good to not be smart. The silver-haired woman said. Qin Feiyang didn't linger on this topic any longer. He asked, for followers and a sovereign divine weapon. Then, did your big brother's cultivation change? I am not too sure about this matter. In short, my relationship with my brother is very complicated. Even I can only find out about his background through secret investigations. Do you think we are very sad? We are brother and sister, but we have to be wary of each other. The silver-haired woman laughed self-deprecatingly. I understand. Not to mention you dragons, even if it is just a small family, brothers and sisters can't avoid scheming against each other. However, are you princes and princesses brothers and sisters by blood? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. No. Although we all call each other brother and sister, we are born in different places. I was born in the Silver Dragon clan. My brother was born in the Golden Dragon clan. In other words, we are only siblings in name and have no blood ties. The silver-haired woman said. If that is the case, it is more understandable. Brothers can't avoid scheming against each other, let alone a relationship like yours. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. The silver-haired woman smiled. It seems that you have also experienced these things. Of course. Who in this world hasn't experienced the fickleness of human nature and the fickleness of the world? Qin Feiyang shook his head and pondered for a while before asking, one last question. Is there any news about the fire dragon? Yes. I was just about to tell you that it is also with my brother. The silver-haired woman smiled. A piercing cold light flashed in Qin Feiyang's eyes. Since the fire dragon was also there, then this trip to the demonic palace was a must. Don't worry about it. Because I will think of a way to help you delay the other princes and princesses. In other words, when you and my brother fight, no one will disturb you. The silver-haired woman's eyes also surged with coldness. Qin Feiyang's heart trembled. He smiled and said, "Then I wish us a happy cooperation. Good luck." The silver-haired woman waved her fist and smiled at Qin Feiyang, then the figure quickly dissipated. The white-eyed wolf retracted his gaze and looked at Qin Feiyang. He asked, "Can she be trusted?" Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and said in a deep voice, "From her eyes, I can see that she wants to kill the first prince, but whether she can be trusted or not, I am not sure. In other words, we have to guard against her." The white-eyed wolf asked. "That is a must. We can't lose our lives after being used by her. But this woman is indeed a bit difficult to deal with. We have to be careful in the future." Qin Feiyang said and handed the divine sound transmission stone to the sea lion. He smiled and said, "I will have to trouble you to keep it safe for me." "No problem." The sea lion nodded and put away the divine sound transmission stone. He pondered for a while and asked, "It seems that you are planning something. Is there anything you need help with?" "Thank you for your kindness, but not for the time being." Qin Feiyang waved his hand and smiled. The sea lion looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "You think that my cultivation is too weak to help, right? Let me tell you, I also have a backer." "I know, your backer is the beast god." The white-eyed wolf said lightly. "Wrong. The beast god is the overlord of the entire sky cloud realm, but under the command of the beast god, there are 8 beast emperors. The emperor of my sea lion clan is one of the 8 beast emperors." The sea lion looked at the white-eyed wolf proudly. Qin Feiyang heard this and asked, "Are you talking about the sea lion emperor?" "You know." The sea lion looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. "I have heard of him." Qin Feiyang nodded. As early as when he entered the sky cloud realm, he had already heard of the name of the sea lion emperor. It's just that at the beginning, he knew that the sea lion emperor was very strong, but he didn't know how strong it was. But now, with his understanding of the sky cloud realm and the sky cloud sea, he had a rough guess in his heart. Whether it was the sea lion emperor or the other 7 beast emperors, they should all be at the level of Pei Tianhong. The white-eyed wolf suddenly asked, "Is that little rabbit also one of the 8 beast emperors?" N. Qin Feiyang looked at the white-eyed wolf and frowned slightly. Yes. Originally, they thought that the little rabbit might be the beast god, but not long ago on Heavenly Cloud Island, the little rabbit had personally said that it wasn't the beast god. Then its identity in Heavenly Cloud Sea should be one of the 8 beast emperors. Uncle Rabbit, hearing this, the sea lion pondered for a while and shook its head. "Uncle Rabbit is not one of the 8 beast emperors." "What? No." Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf were stunned. If it wasn't the beast god or one of the 8 beast emperors, then what was its identity? Uncle Rabbit's identity is very mysterious. I'm afraid that except for the beast god and the 8 beast emperors, no one in the sky cloud realm knows. And there is one thing that is very strange. Uncle Rabbit has never gone to other places and has always stayed on Sky Cloud Island. The sea lion shook its head. "I'll go." "Is it so mysterious?" The white-eyed wolf swallowed his saliva. "It seems that this little rabbit is a big shot that can't be provoked. No wonder even the ice dragon can be restrained. However, one thing is certain, the little rabbit has been staying on Sky Cloud Island to guard the spacetime transmission channel to the lower realm." Wait. Guard? Could it be that it is the guardian of the Sky Cloud realm? But that's not right. The little rabbit's position has always been on the side of the Sky Cloud Sea. If it is really the guardian of the Sky Cloud realm, then it shouldn't have such a position. Because as a guardian, it is guarding the order of the entire continent, not just the sky cloud sea. Perhaps its duty is simply to guard the space-time transmission channel. I don't understand. Qin Feiyang shook his head and stopped looking for trouble. He looked at the sea lion and smiled. According to what you said, can the sea lion emperor help us? If you want the sea lion emperor to help you, then it depends on whether your face is big enough. The sea lion smiled. Chapter 3467. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf looked at each other and couldn't help but shake their heads and laugh. How could things be as simple as the sea lion thought? Even the little rabbit had to listen to the beast god and was not allowed to intervene in the affairs of the various continents, let alone the sea lion emperor. The sea lion emperor, as one of the 8 beast emperors under the beast god, naturally had to abide by this rule. So, it was impossible for the sea lion emperor to help them. Of course. It was no wonder that the sea lion thought so. After all, its cultivation was too weak. Its status in the heavenly cloud sea was equivalent to an ordinary person in a kingdom. Therefore, it could only come into contact with a few things. In its opinion, since Qin Feiyang and the others had such a good relationship with the little rabbit, then the sea lion emperor would definitely help Qin Feiyang and the others for the sake of the little rabbit. It could also be considered a good intention. But then again, after coming to the heavenly cloud sea so many times, he had never seen the 8 beast emperors. Qin Feiyang thought for a while, looked at the sea lion and asked, "Brother, where does the sea lion emperor live?" "Lion King Island. If you want to go, I can lead the way for you." There seemed to be a trace of yearning in the sea lion's eyes. The white-eyed wolf said strangely, "Look at your eyes, you haven't been to Lion King Island either." Cough cough. The sea lion coughed dryly, looking quite embarrassed. "You brat, you are a bit treacherous. You obviously want to follow us to Lion King Island to take a look, but you still say that you will lead the way for us. It's as if you are very familiar with the sea lion emperor." The white-eyed wolf bared its teeth. "Brother wolf, haven't you heard of the saying, 'Life is hard, don't expose it'?" The sea lion said angrily. "Who are you calling cheap? Are you asking for a beating?" The white-eyed wolf waved its claws, looking unfriendly. "Heh heh." The sea lion grinned and said, "I really want to go to Lion King Island to take a look. You may not know, but the cultivation grounds of the 8 beast emperors are all holy lands in our eyes." "Holy land?" The white-eyed wolf was taken aback and asked curiously, "What do you mean?" The sea lion whispered, "I heard that Lion King Island is not only rich in resources but also time array. How can we not envy?" "I see." The white-eyed wolf nodded in realization and said disdainfully, "Isn't it just a time array? It's nothing." "Ah." The sea lion looked at the white-eyed wolf in astonishment. A time array was just a small matter. His tone was even more arrogant than athlete's foot. "Are you looking down on me?" The white-eyed wolf raised its eyebrows and immediately began to form seals with its 2 claws. With the emergence of the law of time, a pentagram appeared in an instant, exuding an obscure aura. "This is..." The sea lion was bewildered. The white-eyed wolf smiled smugly. It waved its paw again, and the 5-pointed star shone brightly, enveloping the sea lion island beneath it. Several breaths of time passed. The pentagram fused with Sea Lion Island. "You also control the laws of time." The sea lion was bewildered. "Of course." The white-eyed wolf smiled proudly and said generously, "I'll give you this time array. Although it may not be as good as the time array of Lion King Island, it's still 500 years in a day." The sea lion was ecstatic. It nodded and bowed, "Thank you, Brother Wolf. From now on, you are my brother. If you want me to face east, I will definitely not face west." "Good boy." The white-eyed wolf rubbed the sea lion's head like a human, and the sea lion also seemed very docile. Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed. Why did it feel like a scene of an old father doting on his son? After pondering for a while, Qin Feiyang glanced at the sea lion and said with a smile, "In that case, I'll help you to the end. We will also turn Sea Lion Island into a holy land for cultivation for you." "Thank you, thank you." The sea lion was overjoyed. He didn't expect happiness to come so quickly. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. With a wave of his hand, a horsetail whisk appeared and he said with a smile, "Help me refine Sea Lion Island." The horsetail whisk immediately released a divine power that poured into the island below. Following closely, Qin Feiyang took out 2 more spirit veins and crystal veins from the Devil's Land. Now, the spirit veins and crystal veins in the Devil's Land had almost reached the level of 9th order divine rank. 2 of the same, a total of 4. 4 of them were enough to change this island. After doing all this, Qin Feiyang sent the horsetail whisk to his sea of qi and looked at the sea lion with a smile. "This island has been refined by the horsetail whisk. Unless it's a sovereign divine weapon, no one can destroy it. I'm so grateful, really." The sea lion was so excited that it was a little incoherent. The time array, the refinement of a sovereign divine weapon, and 4 9th order divine rank spirit veins and crystal veins. Although this island wasn't big, it could already be called a holy land. It was more than enough for it to cultivate here alone. "You helped us, so we definitely can't treat you unfairly. However, you still have to rely on yourself for the road of growth in the future." Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. "And?" The sea lion nodded. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "Then give us the coordinates of Lion King Island. Let's go visit the Sea Lion Emperor." "Okay." The sea lion immediately gave the coordinates to Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf. Lion King Island. Located in the eastern part of the Heavenly Cloud Sea. Which was the side close to the eastern continent. Therefore, it was still quite far from the Sea Lion Island. Because the Sea Lion Island was in the western part of the Heavenly Cloud Sea, which was close to the western continent. However, for the white-eyed wolf who had mastered the laws of space and time, distance was not a problem. And the Lion King Island was very big, probably comparable to half of the Great Qin. From afar, it looked like a continent floating on the sea. On the island, high mountains and steep ridges, verdant vegetation, abundant essence energy, and traces of sea beasts could be seen everywhere. However, there were no signs of slaughter here. Everyone was staying together peacefully, making the island appear extremely peaceful and peaceful. Swish! Suddenly, above the island, a space-time crack appeared. The sea beasts on the island below sensed the aura of the space-time crack and couldn't help but raise their heads to look, their eyes filled with doubt. Soon, a man and a wolf walked out of the space-time crack. The sea beasts on the island were stunned for a moment before retracting their gazes and ignoring them. It was Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf. "What do you mean? Do you think we are air?" The white-eyed wolf glanced at the sea beasts below with a look of astonishment. "They must have recognized us." Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. It seemed that the entire Heavenly Cloud Sea already knew of their existence. Moreover, the sea beasts in the Heavenly Cloud Sea had no hostility towards them. They also knew that they would not mess around in the Heavenly Cloud Sea. "Come down." Suddenly, a voice full of vigor and incomparable majesty sounded from a giant mountain below. The giant mountain was located in the center of the Lion King Island. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf looked at each other and flew towards the giant mountain. They saw a statue of a sea lion standing on the top of the mountain. It was about 100 meters high and had both divinity and divinity. It stood on the top of the mountain like an overlord, overlooking the sea. Putting aside its temperament, it looked no different from other sea lions from the outside. However, there was an ice crystal-like jade horn on the head of this sea lion. Below, The majestic voice sounded again. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf looked towards the direction of the voice and saw a large cave halfway up the mountain. The voice came from inside. One man and one wolf turned into a stream of light and landed outside the cave, looking inside. Inside was a spacious cave. The ground was covered with a layer of watercolored stones. If one didn't look carefully, it looked like water flowing on the ground. There were also many shells and other decorations inlaid on the walls. As a whole, it looked like a water moon cave. It was very beautiful. On the side of the cave, there was a clear spring that was constantly gushing out. There was a row of stones piled up next to it, forming a pool of about 5 or 6 meters in size. And in the pool, there was a 1-meter-long sea lion lying on its stomach. The hair on its body was soaked in the water and was as soft as silk. Its eyes were sky blue, like the blue sky. On its head, there was a jade horn that looked like an ice crystal. "Come in." The sea lion emperor raised his head and looked at Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf and said. One man and one wolf walked into the cave. "Sit down first." The sea lion emperor pointed to the center of the cave. There was a tea table made of seashells and 4 chairs made of polished seashells. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf walked over and sat on the chairs, looking around curiously. Although there were no gorgeous pearls, agate, or jade, the colorful shells were also pleasing to the eye. Whoosh! Accompanied by the sound of flowing water, the sea lion emperor walked out of the pool and turned into a handsome young man. The jade horn on his head also disappeared, but a shining jade horn mark appeared between his eyebrows, looking like a delicate crescent moon. The sea lion emperor walked to the tea table and sat opposite Qin Feiyang. He showed a gentle and polite smile and said, "Sorry to keep you waiting." As he turned into his human form, his voice became soft, elegant, and outstanding. "No, no. It's us 2 juniors who came rashly and disturbed seniors' meditation. Please forgive us." Qin Feiyang quickly waved his hand. The sea lion emperor sized up Qin Feiyang. His first impression of Qin Feiyang was very good. He immediately took out a jug of wine and 3 wine cups. The wine cups were made of seashells and were as big as a baby's fist. While pouring the wine, the sea lion emperor smiled and said, "Qin Feiyang's name is like thunder in the sky cloud boundary. In front of senior, it's all just playing house." Qin Feiyang shook his head. The sea lion emperor shook his head and laughed. He returned the wine cup to Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf and said, "Try it. Although it's not a divine brew and can't be compared to your black tortoise divine brew, but if you taste it carefully, you will be able to taste another flavor." "You know about the black tortoise divine brew?" Qin Feiyang was surprised. "Yes. Some time ago, I went to Uncle Rabbit's place to play for a few days. He kept showing off to me." The sea lion emperor shook his head and smiled. "This is his character." Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly, picked up the wine cup, put it on the tip of his nose and smelled it. He then tasted it. The taste was really unique, it seemed to have the smell of the sea. "It's too bad." The white-eyed wolf was quite impolite. He shook his head after taking a sip. First, it was the black tortoise divine brew, and now there was a wine better than the black tortoise divine brew. His mouth has long been picky. Half of the best wine simply couldn't enter his eyes. Hearing this, the sea lion emperor wasn't angry. He smiled and said, "It's a lot worse than the divine brew, but for ordinary people, this wine is almost the same. After all, not everyone can drink the divine brew." Chapter 3468. When Qin Feiyang heard this, he looked at the white-eyed wolf, and the white-eyed wolf also looked at Qin Feiyang. A smile flashed in the eyes of one man and one wolf. It seems that this sea lion emperor is also a wine lover. In that case, why not cater to his taste? Stabilize the relationship. Their relationship with the little rabbit is already very stable. If they have a good relationship with the 8 beast emperors, then the heavenly cloud sea will be their shelter in the future. If they can't beat the dragons, they can hide in the heavenly cloud sea. What can the dragons do to them? Why did you come to Lion King Island to find me? If it's about the dragons, then don't speak, because I really can't do anything about it. Sea Lion Emperor took a sip of wine and looked at the man and the wolf with a smile. No, no. This time, we came here with no purpose, purely to visit Senior. After all, the heavenly cloud sea has helped us a lot over the years. This kindness can't be forgotten. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and said. Sea Lion Emperor said, the one who helped you seems to be Uncle Rabbit. Isn't it the same? Whether it's Big Brother or Senior, they are all members of the heavenly cloud sea. Besides, the sea beasts of the heavenly cloud sea are helping them, so they must have the acquiescence of the 8 beast emperors. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. Sea Lion Emperor was stunned and shook his head with a smile. I have long heard that Qin Feiyang is a smart person who knows how to repay kindness. Now that I see you, you really live up to your reputation. Senior, you flatter me. Qin Feiyang blushed with shame as he shook his head. After pondering for a while, he said, however, Junior has suddenly thought of a question. If it's possible, I hope that Senior can help Junior answer it. Say it. Sea Lion Emperor smiled. Qin Feiyang asked suspiciously, why are you helping me? Sea Lion Emperor pondered for a while and shook his head in confusion. This is the meaning of the beast god, we don't understand. But there must be a reason. First of all, this Junior is from the lower realms, and has nothing to do with the heavenly cloud sea. Secondly, I can't give the heavenly cloud sea anything. On the contrary, I'll only bring trouble to the heavenly cloud sea. Senior beast god's way of doing things is beyond this Junior's comprehension. If I have to guess, please forgive me for being suspicious. Could this be? When Qin Feiyang said this, he felt a little embarrassed to continue. The Sea Lion Emperor put down his glass and looked at Qin Feiyang in silence. The atmosphere seemed to have changed, but he suddenly smiled and asked, are you trying to say that the beast god has other motives? Senior, please forgive me. This Junior is truly unwilling to think that way. However, since young, this Junior has experienced too many schemes and machinations. Thus, there are times when this Junior cannot help but think in this direction. If I have offended you, please forgive me. Qin Feiyang stood up and bowed apologetically. Don't worry. Everyone climbed up step by step from the lowest level. Your doubts are understandable. Moreover, I also appreciate your straightforwardness. Unlike other humans who say one thing on the surface and another in secret. However, I really can't give you an accurate answer because I really don't know about this matter. I guess Uncle Rabbit should know. If you really want to know the truth, you can find a way to pry open his mouth. The Sea Lion Emperor smiled. Thank you for your understanding, Senior. Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and then returned to the chair and sighed. You should also be clear about Big Brother's temper. If he doesn't want to say something, it's useless even if you put a knife on his neck. Besides, no one in the heavenly cloud realm has the ability to put a knife on his neck. The Sea Lion Emperor couldn't help but laugh and nodded, this is true. Uncle Rabbit's strength is far beyond us 8 beast emperors. Beyond you? The white-eyed wolf was surprised. Yes. Although we didn't hand it over, we always feel a great sense of oppression when we get along with it. As for its specific strength, we don't know. The Sea Lion Emperor shook his head. This is too mysterious. The white-eyed wolf murmured. The more he inquired, the more shocked he was. The Sea Lion Emperor smiled and said, now the dragons are chasing you everywhere. Why don't you stay on Lion King Island? Relatively speaking, it's safer than outside. Thank you for your kindness, Senior. If there's a chance in the future, we will definitely come to Lion King Island. Qin Feiyang smiled gratefully. The Sea Lion Emperor smiled. Qin Feiyang's meaning was already very obvious, and he didn't seem to be afraid of the dragons. In that case, he naturally wouldn't force him. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment, then looked expectantly at the Sea Lion Emperor and said, "Senior, can you tell us a little bit about the situation of the dragon race and the other 3 forbidden lands?" "No. Don't blame me, this is what Uncle Rabbit told me." "Uncle Rabbit, you can't afford to offend him, and I can't afford to offend him either." The Sea Lion Emperor laughed. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. This little rabbit really gave people a headache. In fact, he came to find the Sea Lion Emperor, on one hand, to get to know this powerful existence, and on the other hand, he wanted to inquire about the situation of the dragons and the 3 forbidden areas. He came full of expectations, but the result was nothing. No. It's not that he gained nothing, at least he got to know the Sea Lion Emperor and saw the other party's goodwill. With that thought in mind, Qin Feiyang took out the pot of divine wine and handed it to the Sea Lion Emperor. "This is..." The Sea Lion Emperor was slightly taken aback and looked at the wine pot suspiciously. "Black tortoise divine wine?" "No. If it's black tortoise divine wine, just this pot, how can it be enough to represent Junior's sincerity? This is Junior's subordinate, a newly developed divine wine. I heard that it's better than black tortoise divine wine, so Senior, please help me appraise it and see if it's true." Qin Feiyang laughed. "Better than black tortoise divine wine?" There was a trace of surprise in the Sea Lion Emperor's eyes, and he laughed, "Then I really want to try." After saying that, he took the wine pot and pulled out the cork. A dragon shadow rushed out immediately, and the intoxicating wine fragrance suddenly filled the cave. This fragrance, the Sea Lion Emperor was stunned. Seeing this, Qin Feiyang winked at the white-eyed wolf, and the man and the wolf got up and left silently. Sky Cloud Island. There was no place more peaceful than here. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf landed on the top of the mountain and scanned the surroundings, but they didn't find any trace of the little rabbit. "Wait for me, I'll go find Zhao Si and get another pot of divine wine." Qin Feiyang looked at the white-eyed wolf and said before entering the black tortoise world. The white-eyed wolf glanced at the top of the mountain, walked to the edge of the cliff, and looked down. The mountains were undulating, and the ancient trees towered into the sky. It looked calm and ordinary, but in the eyes of the white-eyed wolf, there seemed to be a sense of mystery. The white-eyed wolf's eyes turned slightly, and like a bolt of lightning, it disappeared into the mountains below. Not long later, Qin Feiyang grabbed a wine pot and appeared from the black tortoise world. Looking around, he was slightly stunned. Where is this wolf cub? Didn't they agree to let it wait here? Why did it disappear in the blink of an eye? Swish! Not long later, the white-eyed wolf rushed up from the mountains below. Where did it go? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. "Don't ask, follow me." After the white-eyed wolf said, it turned around and flew down. Qin Feiyang was stunned, and hurriedly followed. Soon, a man and a wolf arrived at the foot of the mountain. At the foot of the mountain was a dense forest, and the ground was piled with thick piles of dead branches and leaves, emitting a damp and rotten smell. "Look!" The white-eyed wolf stood at the foot of the mountain, pointing at the cliff of the giant peak. Qin Feiyang looked up and saw that there was a cave entrance on the cliff that was more than 10 meters above the ground. The cave entrance was about 2 meters wide and 3 meters high, and it was pitch black inside. "Where is this?" Qin Feiyang was suspicious. "I don't know." The white-eyed wolf shook its head, pondered for a while, and whispered, "But I guess this should be the little rabbit's cave residence. Maybe the little lunatic and the others are inside." "Didn't you go in and take a look?" Qin Feiyang asked. "No. I was afraid of being discovered by the little rabbit." The white-eyed wolf bared its teeth. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes at it, and curiously looked at the cave entrance. This should also be a cave residence. Could such a place accommodate thousands of people? Could it be that there was another universe inside? Do you want to go in and take a look? The white-eyed wolf asked. Let's go. Qin Feiyang nodded. The little rabbit never let them run around on the island, so it must be hiding some secrets. However, when a man and a wolf flew to the entrance of the cave and were about to enter, the little rabbit suddenly came out of the dark cave residence and stood in front of the cave entrance. Big brother, Uncle Rabbit, the man and the wolf suddenly felt guilty. What do you want to do? The little rabbit raised its eyebrows and looked at them playfully. Nothing, nothing. Seeing that you are not here, we have nothing to do, so we walk around and enjoy the scenery of Sky Cloud Island. The white-eyed wolf waved its paws and laughed dryly. Is that so? The teasing in the little rabbit's eyes became even stronger. The white-eyed wolf's eyes rolled around, and suddenly saw the wine jug in Qin Feiyang's hand. Then, he kicked Qin Feiyang hard and scolded, "Didn't you want Big Brother's wine? What are you waiting for?" Yes, yes, yes. Qin Feiyang nodded and brought the wine jug in front of the little rabbit. The little rabbit looked at the wine jug and was slightly stunned. The ingrate leaned forward and chuckled. Big brother, this is a new divine brew that we've developed. We've just brewed it, and we've brought it over for you to try. Look at how much we're showing you respect. A newly developed divine wine. The little rabbit was stunned. Looking at the wine jug, he glanced at the white-eyed wolf and said, "Don't fool Uncle Rabbit." "How would I dare?" "Try it and you'll know." The white-eyed wolf said. The little rabbit took the wine jug skeptically and pulled out the cork. The fragrance of the wine immediately surged out. It's really different from the black tortoise divine wine. The little rabbit's eyes lit up and immediately took a small sip. His entire body was instantly immersed in the sea of wine. Seeing this, the white-eyed wolf rushed towards the cave residence with a swoosh. However, just as it was about to enter the cave, the little rabbit suddenly raised its claws and grabbed the white-eyed wolf, throwing it into the clouds. Chapter 34-69. Qin Feiyang looked at the little rabbit in astonishment. This guy's reaction was too fast. He hurriedly looked up at the sky. Where was the white-eyed wolf thrown to? "Little trash, you actually dare to play tricks in front of Uncle Rabbit." The little rabbit smiled disdainfully and glanced at Qin Feiyang. "Big brother, it has nothing to do with me." Qin Feiyang hurriedly distanced himself from this. The little rabbit pouted and looked at the wine jug in his hand. He frowned and said, "There's dragon blood in this wine. Big brother is indeed worthy of being a wine immortal." Qin Feiyang gave a thumbs up. Hearing this, the little rabbit couldn't help but roll his eyes. This flattering skill was too bad. As long as one wasn't an idiot, one could taste the essence of dragon blood in it. "You hunted a divine dragon?" the little rabbit asked. "N." Qin Feiyang nodded. "Not bad, not bad. You're starting to counterattack so quickly. However, the grudge between you and the dragons can't be resolved." The little rabbit sighed. "I never thought of reconciling with them." Qin Feiyang sneered. "It's good to have such spirit, but you have to act according to your ability. In short, before you have enough confidence, I suggest you confront the dragons head-on." The little rabbit said. "I know." Qin Feiyang nodded. "It's good that you know." The little rabbit smiled and then bared his teeth. "How much of this wine is left? Is it really something you guys researched? This is more precious than the black tortoise divine wine." "Of course it's something we researched. Didn't I tell you last time that I have people who specialize in brewing divine wine? However, there really isn't much of this divine wine now. Because just this jug of wine will take 10 years to brew." Qin Feiyang explained. Counting from the moment Zhao Si asked him for dragon blood, it took 10 years to brew a jug, and 1,000 years had passed in the black tortoise world. In other words, there were at most 100 jugs. Only this much can be brewed in 10 years. The little rabbit was stunned. What do you think? Qin Fei Yang felt helpless. All right. This wine can definitely be called a top-quality divine wine. All the wine I've drunk in my life can fill the entire heavenly cloud ocean, but this is the first time I've drunk such a good divine wine. To be able to research such a divine brew, your subordinates are quite powerful. The little rabbit sighed with emotion, looking at Qin Fei Yang with eyes full of envy. Fill the heavenly cloud ocean. Isn't this a little exaggerated? Qin Fei Yang's lips twitched. The heavenly cloud sea was incomparably vast. Even the 4 continents added together couldn't compare to it. Just how much wine would it take to fill it up? Little brother, we're brothers, right? Suddenly, the little rabbit's eyes flashed as she stared at Qin Fei Yang and asked. Yes. Qin Fei Yang nodded and asked suspiciously, why? The little rabbit said with a sinister smile, since we are brothers, then your people are also my people. Lend me your winemakers for a few days. Don't even think about it. Qin Fei Yang didn't even think about it and directly refused. What a joke. Was the divine brew important? No. Talents were the most important. Only a talented person could brew a divine brew. Otherwise, no matter how many treasures there were, it was useless. Besides, with the little rabbit's personality, borrowing it for a few days, then it was guaranteed that it would be borrowed and not returned. The little rabbit's face darkened and said angrily, do you still treat me as a big brother? Of course. But that's that, right? I can give you the wine, but the people, never think about it. Besides, as a big brother, you have the nerve to come here and poach my people. Qin Fei Yang shook his head, his face full of contempt. Hearing this, the little rabbit looked embarrassed and said angrily, who said I was poaching? I'm just borrowing it, understand? Yes, yes, yes. Borrow, borrow, borrow and it'll be gone, I understand. Qin Fei Yang nodded. The little rabbit's mouth twitched and snorted coldly, I've never seen such a stingy person like you. It's useless no matter what you say, I'm not lending it. Qin Fei Yang waved his hand. Fine, fine, fine. The little rabbit waved its paws, inwardly furious, then this wine, right, what's the name of this wine? Give me some more, how can this little be enough to drink? This wine doesn't have a name yet. As for giving it to you, there's really no way now, when I went to get the wine just now, there's only this one jar in stock. Save it, wait for a while, when there's more in stock, I'll send it to you. Qin Fei Yang smiled. In fact, there were dozens of jars in stock, but things that were too easy to obtain did not seem so precious. Hearing this, a trace of disappointment crept up the little rabbit's eyes, nodding, all right, there's still black tortoise divine brew anyway, I'll make do with it. Cough, cough. Qin Fei Yang coughed dryly, smiling bitterly, black tortoise divine brew is also a divine brew, okay? Making do with it, you really dare to say that? You know nothing about wine, you don't know that although this wine and the black tortoise divine brew are both divine brews, they're not on the same level. Let me tell you, this wine can be said to be unique in the entire sky cloud boundary. The little rabbit said. It's that amazing? Qin Fei Yang was stunned. You think Uncle Rabbit is joking with you? For those who love wine, not to mention a jar, even a small cup is enough to make them go crazy. Forget it, you don't understand, it's useless to tell you. But the name of this wine, since it's the only one in the world, it should be given a more awesome name. Saying so, the little rabbit lowered its head and pondered. Qin Fei Yang was speechless. According to what you're saying, just call it the number one divine brew. Isn't it just a name? What's there to care about? What's important is the connotation, not the appearance. Number one divine brew. The little rabbit was stunned, disdainfully saying, "Can you think of a more tacky name? How uncultured, how about this, call it the unparalleled divine brew, unparalleled in the world." Ah! Qin Feiyang was stunned. Unparalleled divine brew? Isn't that tacky? Why does it feel even tackier than the name of the #1 divine brew? The little rabbit didn't think so at all, it even touched its chin narcissistically and chuckled, "Uncle Rabbit is really smart, to make such a happy decision, unparalleled divine brew. As long as you're happy." Qin Feiyang's face was full of helplessness. The little rabbit grinned, "Kid, tell your people to hurry up and brew, try to brew a few thousand jars a month." The corner of Qin Feiyang's mouth twitched, "A few thousand jars a month? Is it crazy? Didn't I tell it that it can only brew 1 jar every 10 years? Doesn't your black tortoise world have a time array? 1 day is 1,000 years, 10 days is 10,000 years, 30 days is 30,000 years. And 1 jar only takes 10 years, 30,000 years, as long as they don't slack off, it's more than enough." The little rabbit waved its paw and said, "You really think of them as wine brewing machines, others also have to cultivate, okay?" Qin Feiyang was speechless. Speaking until here, his eyes rolled, and he said, "Why don't you go to the black tortoise world and help set up a time array that lasts 5,000 years a day? This way, they can brew more unparalleled divine brew and have time to cultivate, not delaying both. After all this time, you're planning this, kid." The little rabbit glanced at Qin Feiyang with a strange expression. Qin Feiyang hurriedly waved his hand and said, "Absolutely not, I just thought of it. TCH. The little rabbit disdainfully shook its head and said, "It's impossible to set up a time array, but if you make Uncle Rabbit happy, there might be a surprise one day." "What surprise?" Qin Feiyang was curious. "If I say it now, can it be called a surprise? Besides, Uncle Rabbit is very unhappy now." The little rabbit snorted. All right, I'll get them to work overtime to brew the divine brew for you." Qin Feiyang's face was gloomy. Why did it feel like he was coaxing a child? "That's more like it. All right, hurry up and scram. In the future, other than delivering wine, don't come here blindly." The little rabbit waved its paw impatiently. "Damn, heartless." Qin Feiyang cursed in his heart. With a stomach full of displeasure, he soared into the air and stood above the island, sweeping his gaze around. Whoosh! The white-eyed wolf was like a drowned rat, flying over in a sorry state with an aggressive aura. Qin Feiyang stepped forward and grabbed the white-eyed wolf, saying, forget it, don't bother with it. Let's go to the eastern continent. Damn it, if it weren't for giving you face, I guarantee that I'll tear down this sky cloud island." The white-eyed wolf cursed fiercely. "Why don't you try tearing it down?" The little rabbit flew over. No, you heard wrong." The white-eyed wolf smiled embarrassedly and immediately opened a space-time transmission channel. Seeing this scene, Qin Feiyang couldn't help but laugh. Just as Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf turned around and were about to enter the space-time transmission channel, the little rabbit suddenly asked, "Boy, did you throw away that golden badge?" "Golden badge?" Qin Feiyang was taken aback. The white-eyed wolf's eyes also had a trace of suspicion. The little rabbit said, "It's the badge you showed me when you first came to the sky cloud realm. I also told you that it's a hot potato, so you should throw it away as soon as possible." Hearing this, Qin Feiyang thought for a moment, patted his head, and immediately searched in the universe ring. After a while, a golden badge the size of a baby's fist appeared. It was overflowing with light, and there was a divine dragon engraved on it. "You didn't throw it away?" The little rabbit smiled meaningfully. Qin Feiyang said, "I felt that this badge was very important, so I didn't throw it away." The little rabbit's eyes flashed, saying, "Since you can't bear to throw it away, then keep it well. It will be useful in the future." Useful? Qin Feiyang was taken aback. You will understand in the future. The little rabbit smiled mysteriously, waved its paw, and ordered him to leave. Qin Feiyang frowned, took the badge, turned around, and entered the space-time transmission channel with the white-eyed wolf. Ice Dragon, this guy, didn't take back this badge. What does it want to do? After Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf left, the little rabbit frowned and muttered to itself. It seemed that this matter was a bit beyond imagination. Qin Feiyang, this kid, besides the power of the purple gold dragon blood, what other secrets did he have? Otherwise, why didn't Ice Dragon do it himself? Chapter 3470. Cloud Sea City, outside the city. There were layers upon layers of mountains and dense vegetation. In a certain dense forest, a man and a wolf walked out of a spatial rift. Not far away, there happened to be two humans and a few fierce beasts fighting. But when they saw the man and the wolf, regardless of whether it was the two humans or the fierce beasts, they all stopped and looked at the man and the wolf with reverence in their eyes. Yes. The man and the wolf were Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf were slightly stunned when they saw the two humans and the fierce beasts, and then they chuckled and said, "Continue." After that, the man and the wolf were about to turn around and leave. "Brother Qin, wait." Suddenly, the two humans spoke. They were two middle-aged men in ordinary clothes. They were in a sorry state as they fought with a few fierce beasts. Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned and turned to look at them suspiciously. The fierce beasts glanced at each other, turned around, and fled. Obviously, they were afraid of Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf. I really didn't expect to meet Brother Qin here. The last time I saw Brother Qin was when we killed the 10th elder of the Independent Cultivator Alliance. The two middle-aged men didn't chase after the fierce beasts. They ran to Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf with fawning smiles on their faces. It's been a long time since I came to Cloud Sea City. Qin Feiyang nodded and smiled. Actually, they had been to Cloud Sea City when they just came out of the Shadow Demon Land, but they had changed their appearances so that no one knew. "Brother Qin, where are you going?" one of the middle-aged men asked. Qin Feiyang said with a smile, "I'm just taking a stroll." "What's the matter?" "Taking a stroll?" The two of them looked at each other in dismay. Then, they looked at Qin Feiyang and the ingrate and sighed, "You two are indeed very daring. Even in this kind of situation, you still dare to run around blindly." "What do you mean?" Qin Feiyang was suspicious. The two looked at each other and fell silent for a moment. Then, one of them smiled and said, "Our meeting is fate. If Brother Qin is willing to give us some benefits, we can tell you some important news." "Important news?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. White-eyed wolf said impatiently, "If you have something to say, just say it. If it's really important, we won't mistreat you. It must be very important to you. Besides, we don't dare to speak carelessly before you all." Their expressions were extremely serious, and they didn't seem to be joking. Qin Feiyang sized up the two of them and smiled faintly. "How about this, I'll use 2 heaven-defying legendary artifacts to buy your information." "Brother Qin, you're not joking, right? You want to buy this information with 2 heaven-defying legendary artifacts? Are you trying to dismiss a beggar?" The two of them looked displeased. "Pushing my luck." White-eyed wolf raised his eyebrows. Qin Feiyang stopped White-eyed wolf and looked at the two of them with a smile. "Then tell me, what do you want?" 2 heaven-defying supreme-level artifacts. 2 heaven-defying supreme-level techniques and 2 heaven-defying supreme-level support techniques. The two of them thought for a moment and said, "Damn! You still dare to speak?" White-eyed wolf's eyes were filled with killing intent. He smiled sinisterly and said, "Do you know that we have a kind of control secret technique that can forcibly read other people's memories?" The two of them narrowed their eyes and instinctively felt the threat of death. They hurriedly said, "Lord Wolf, please calm down. Our information is definitely worth the money. Tell me what it is first." Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. "No. What if you don't admit it after I tell you?" The two of them shook their heads. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "If it's really worth it, I'll definitely give it to you." The two of them were hesitant. Qin Feiyang glanced at the two of them, then looked at White-Eyed Wolf and said with a smile, "Let's go." He really didn't believe that there was any information that was worth 6 heaven-defying supreme-level divine objects. "Don't go." Seeing this, the two of them hurriedly stood in front of Qin Feiyang and White-Eyed Wolf. "Don't push your luck." White-Eyed Wolf's eyes flickered with a cold light. "No, no." The two of them hurriedly waved their hands. Gritting their teeth, they looked at the two of them and said, "Fine, fine, fine. We'll tell you first. How much is it worth?" One man and one wolf looked at the two of them in silence, waiting for the two of them to speak. "The Demon Palace is now looking for you." The two of them looked around and whispered when they saw that there was no one around. "Looking for us?" Qin Feiyang and White-Eyed Wolf were stunned. "That's right." One of them nodded and said in a deep voice, "And they didn't announce this to the public. They did it secretly, so very few people know about it now." "In other words, they are secretly looking for us?" Qin Feiyang asked. "Yes." The two of them nodded. "Since they didn't announce it to the public, how did you know?" Qin Feiyang looked at the two of them curiously. "Of course, it's because we have special channels." The two of them chuckled. "Is that so?" Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and asked, "Then do you know why the Demon Palace is looking for us?" "We don't know about that. In short, the enforcers of the Demon Palace are now searching for you." "How is it?" "This information is worth a lot, right?" The two of them looked at Qin Feiyang with anticipation. Qin Feiyang and White-Eyed Wolf looked at each other and smiled. They shook their heads and said, "For you to be able to obtain such insider information, you are indeed quite capable. However, you don't know why the Demon Palace is looking for us, but we know. So, do you think this information is still valuable?" "Ah." The two of them looked at Qin Feiyang in shock. Could it be that this person already knew about it? Actually, Qin Feiyang didn't know about it, but he wasn't too surprised when he learned about it. Because the dragon's first prince had arrived at the Demon Palace, he would definitely think of ways to find him. As for the dragon's first prince, he only brought the fire dragon and 4 followers out. Why would they look for him with just these few people? Therefore, the dragon's first prince could only ask the Demon Palace to help search for him. Facing the dragons, the Demon Palace naturally didn't dare to resist. Therefore, this was to be expected. "Although it's not worth much, I still have to thank you for your kind intentions. Consider this a small token of my appreciation, I hope you don't mind." Qin Feiyang smiled and took out 300 pills. There were 100 Life Divine pills, 100 Sky Sun Divine pills, and 100 Origin Sea Divine pills. Each pill had 7 dragon-shaped core energies. One could say that this was a huge fortune. Because the pills on the market had at most 2 or 3 dragon-shaped core energies. For example, these 2 middle-aged men were only at the great perfection imperishable realm. They had probably never seen a pill with 7 dragon-shaped core energies in their entire lives. The two of them looked at the 300 pills in a daze. "Thank you again." Qin Feiyang smiled and left with White-Eyed Wolf. "Fuck. Are you trying to get rid of beggars?" Once Qin Feiyang and White-Eyed Wolf left, one of them was instantly filled with rage. The other chuckled, "Be content, brother. These are pills with 7 dragon-shaped core energies. Every single one of them is priceless." "That's true, but can it compare to an exalt-grade divine artifact and god technique?" "No. We can't let them get away with it. That person grunted coldly and flashed towards the city. Where are you going? Don't be rash and come back. Qin Feiyang isn't someone you can afford to offend. Why don't we stop while we're ahead? That person turned a deaf ear to his companion's shouts and obstructions. Fine. You can't blame anyone for courting death. If you don't want it, then I do. The other person snorted coldly. Then, he put away the 300 medicinal pills and turned around to enter the forest, disappearing without a trace. Right after the two of them left, Qin Feiyang and the ingrate who had already left walked out from the shadows. That person is really greedy. 300 pills aren't enough. White-eyed wolf's eyes flashed with killing intent. Divine Life Pill, Heavenly Sun Spirit Pill, Primal Sea Spirit Pill, these three kinds of pills, needless to say, everyone knew that they were all used to save lives. Especially the Divine Sun Pill and Essence Sea Pill. One was used to repair the Sea of Consciousness, while the other was used to repair the Sea of Qi. The most important thing was the 7 dragon-shaped core energies. Even the core disciples of the various superpowers couldn't get their hands on pills of this level. In short, only the super powerhouses of the various superpowers were qualified to enjoy such pills. It could be said that any one of them could be auctioned for a sky-high price. But that person was different. After giving him so many pills, he still wasn't satisfied. Because even if the two of them split the pills, they could still get 150 pills. A man who is never content is like a snake trying to swallow an elephant. This famous saying made sense. Should we kill him? White-eyed Wolf asked. No need. This is what I want. Qin Feiyang waved his hand. Huh? White-eyed Wolf looked at Qin Feiyang in shock. What did this mean? Qin Feiyang smiled and said, there has to be some friction between us and the Demon Palace. Only then will it seem more realistic. I see. White-eyed Wolf suddenly understood. He deliberately let that person attract the enforcers of the Demon Palace. Let's go to the Black Tortoise Realm for a cup of tea. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. As expected, other than Elder Hua and the others, no one else in the Demon Palace knew that they were acting. So when the enforcers arrived, they wouldn't show mercy at all. Of course. The enforcers wouldn't dare to make a move. After all, everyone knew that they had a sovereign divine weapon. However, they would definitely come quietly to investigate their whereabouts. At the same time, Wind Sea City. In front of the city gate, the 4 city guards each held a Heaven's Eye stone and investigated the people entering and leaving one by one. The current city guards weren't from the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. They all belonged to the Demon Palace. However, other than that, they didn't see any enforcers of the Demon Palace. From the looks of it, it was just a routine check. No one would think that they were looking for someone. Not only the city gates, but even the city lord's mansion looked no different from usual. There wasn't the slightest bit of tension. However, in a courtyard behind the city lord's mansion, there was a murderous aura. Outside the courtyard, 10 black-robed men stood straight and looked straight ahead. Their eyes were incomparably sharp. That's right. They were the enforcers of the Demon Palace. Some had high and some had low cultivation. In the attic of the courtyard, a black-robed old man sat beside the tea table. He looked at the teapot on the table with wisps of smoke floating out. There was a cold light in his eyes. Chapter 3471. Suddenly, a guard brought a middle-aged man and hurriedly came to the front of the courtyard. He bowed and said, "Greetings, lords." The middle-aged man also bowed respectfully to the 10 enforcers. "What's the matter?" one of the enforcers asked. The guard pointed at the middle-aged man and said, "This person said that he had seen Qin Feiyang outside the city." Seen Qin Feiyang? The 10 enforcers were slightly stunned and hurriedly looked at the middle-aged man and asked, "Is this true?" "Yes. The middle-aged man nodded. Lord! There's news about Qin Feiyang. One of the enforcers immediately turned to look at the courtyard and shouted. The door opened and the old man in black walked out. The enforcers pointed at the middle-aged man and asked. He said that he had seen Qin Feiyang outside the city. The old man in black's eyes flashed as he sized up the middle-aged man and frowned. How did you know that we're looking for Qin Feiyang? The middle-aged man's expression stiffened. The 10 enforcers were stunned and suddenly came to a realization. That's right. Only the people from the Demon Palace knew about the pursuit of Qin Feiyang. How did this person know? Did someone leak the news? Speak. The old man in black snorted coldly. An invisible and terrifying pressure surged toward the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man hurriedly said, Lord, a friend of mine in the Demon Palace told me. What friend? The old man in black shouted. Just an ordinary friend. The middle-aged man was extremely flustered. Elder Hua and Miss Yun personally ordered that no one was allowed to reveal the news of Qin Feiyang's capture to the outside world. However, this so-called ordinary friend of yours actually dared to disobey the order and told you the news. Do you think I'm stupid? Why would an ordinary friend tell you this? The old man in black said angrily. The middle-aged man's face turned pale. He had not thought of this at all. He thought that he would be rewarded handsomely by tipping them off, but he did not expect that he would be in a dilemma. If he did not tell them, the Demon Palace would definitely not let him off. But if he told them the truth, the friend who told him the news would definitely be implicated. What to do? One of the law enforcers glanced at the middle-aged man and walked to the side of the black-clothed old man. He whispered, Sir, we'll interrogate him later. Let's deal with Qin Feiyang first. The old man in black took a deep breath, looked at the middle-aged man and asked, Where did you see Qin Feiyang? Just outside the city. The middle-aged man hurriedly replied. Who else could it be? The black-robed old man asked. There's also a wolf. The middle-aged man said. Didn't you see Madman in Pei Tianhong? The old man in black frowned. No. The middle-aged man shook his head. The law enforcement officer at the side asked softly, Sir, should we report this to Elder Hua? Of course. Even if it's just Qin Feiyang and that Wolf King, it's still not something we can handle. Because they have sovereign weapons. I see, I'll go back and look for Elder Hua now. You guys follow him out of the city to take a look. Remember, you must not let them find you. It's best if you hide in a spatial divine item. If you're accidentally discovered by them, think of a way to delay them. After all, they still have some friendship with our Devil Palace. As long as you don't act recklessly, they probably won't kill you. The old man in black warned. Yes. The 10 law enforcement officers bowed and replied. A moment later. The 10 law enforcement officers and the middle-aged man appeared in the sky above the forest. Moreover, they also listened to the old man in black and hid in a spatial divine item. No one. Looking at the empty forest outside, the 10 of them couldn't help but frown. Sir, I really didn't lie to you. They were here before, but they left later on. It seems like they went over there. The middle-aged man pointed to the northeast direction of the forest and said in a trembling voice. When one of the law enforcement officers heard this, he immediately controlled a spatial divine item and flew over there. Along the way, they encountered many beasts and humans. However, they didn't find any traces of Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf. Could it be that they have already left? The 10 law enforcement officers couldn't help but frown. I'll go out and ask around. One of the law enforcement officers' eyes dimmed. He left the spatial divine item and asked the beasts and humans. However, those beasts and humans said that they didn't see Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf. Hence, the group of law enforcement officers controlled the spatial divine item and returned to their original place. Scanning the forest outside, one of the law enforcement officers glanced at the middle-aged man. He then looked at the other law enforcement officers and raised his eyebrows. If he's not lying, then Qin Feiyang has really left. Then, are we still waiting? Another law enforcement officer asked. Let's wait. Elder Hua and the rest should be arriving soon. The law enforcement officer pondered for a while and said. The Black Tortoise World. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf had been sitting in the tea garden, paying attention to the situation outside. It's been so long. They should be here by now. However, why haven't I seen a single shadow? The white-eyed wolf looked at the scene in the void and was puzzled. Qin Feiyang was also puzzled. Suddenly, he frowned slightly and looked at the white-eyed wolf, asking, could they be hiding in the spatial divine item? Huh? The white-eyed wolf was stunned. He pondered for a while and nodded. That might be possible. After all, they know that we have a sovereign divine weapon and don't dare to confront us directly. Then, shall we go out and take a look? Qin Feiyang asked. Sure. The white-eyed wolf bared his teeth. Qin Feiyang put down his teacup while the white-eyed wolf twisted the wine pot. Whoosh! A man and a wolf immediately appeared in the forest. Inside the spatial divine item. The middle-aged man was thinking of how to escape at this moment. Because, if he could find Qin Feiyang, he could make up for his mistakes. He and his friend might be able to escape this calamity. However, there wasn't even a shadow here. When the old man in black and Elder Hua arrived, they would definitely interrogate him. Especially Elder Hua. As the hall master of the law enforcement hall, he was powerful and resourceful. He would have 10,000 ways to make him talk. Thinking of the consequences, he couldn't help but break out in cold sweat. However, when Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf appeared, a glimmer of hope immediately burned in his eyes. He shouted, Lords, look, I didn't lie to you. They are here. The 10 law enforcement officers were stunned and immediately looked at the image in the void in front of them. When they saw the man and the wolf, they were immediately shocked. They are also hiding in the spatial divine item. We must keep an eye on them. One of the law enforcement officers said in a deep voice. However, before he finished speaking, Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf released their divine senses in all directions. Oh no! The group of people hiding in the spatial divine item immediately changed their expressions. If Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf found out that they were hiding here sneakily, they would definitely not let them off easily. However, it was too sudden. They were completely caught off guard. Therefore, even if they wanted to use the spatial divine item to leave now, it was already too late. The divine senses of the man and the wolf immediately shrouded the spatial divine item. As expected, Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf looked at each other and couldn't help but smile. Then, the white-eyed wolf activated the moment of time and instantly landed in front of the spatial divine item. Then, the law of death rolled out and clawed at the spatial divine item. With a loud crack, the spatial divine item shattered on the spot. The middle-aged man and the 10 law enforcement officers immediately rolled out of the spatial divine item. Law enforcement officers of the Demon Hall. The white-eyed wolf looked at the 10 law enforcement officers and pretended to be surprised. Then, he looked at the middle-aged man and said in surprise, It's you. Lord Wolf, the middle-aged man was flustered. However, when he thought of the law enforcement officers of the Demon Hall, he couldn't help but feel more confident. Did you bring them here? The white-eyed wolf pointed at the 10 law enforcement officers and asked the middle-aged man. It's me. The middle-aged man nodded. Although there were law enforcement officers beside him, he was still a little afraid. You're really something. You took our pills and betrayed us. You're trying to please both sides. A cold light surged in the white-eyed wolf's eyes. Pills? The 10 law enforcement officers were taken aback and looked at the white-eyed wolf suspiciously. Didn't he tell you? Previously, when he saw us, he told us that you were searching for us. He even tried to get us to give him 6 supreme divine items as a reward. However, supreme divine items are not cabbages. Where are we going to get so many for him? So, we gave him 100 divine life pills, 100 divine sun pills, and 100 primordial sea divine pills, all of which had 7 dragon-shaped elixirs. However, in the blink of an eye, he betrayed us and ran to you to claim the reward. He's too greedy. The white-eyed wolf frowned. What? So many pills, and all of them have 7 dragon-shaped elixirs. The 10 law enforcement officers were shocked. One had to know that even law enforcement officers like them were not qualified to enjoy pills of this level. Sigh. We're really blind. We shouldn't have let you go back then. The white-eyed wolf sighed. Then, the corners of his mouth lifted and he grinned. However, it's not too late to kill you now. Boom. His cultivation of the sovereign realm was suddenly unleashed. The middle-aged man's gaze trembled. He quickly hid behind the 10 law enforcement officers to seek protection. However, the 10 law enforcement officers' eyes were filled with disgust. This kind of person who tried to please both sides was not worthy of sympathy and protection. Moreover, there was a faint trace of greed in their eyes. It was simply a waste of these 300 pills in the hands of this person. However, they did not give up and leave him alone. This was because they still wanted to investigate who had leaked the secret. Wolf King, please calm down. We mean no harm. That's right, that's right. We're not really hunting you down. We're just following orders to find you. Searching and hunting are 2 completely different things. As for why we're looking for you, we don't know either. You'll have to ask Elder Hua. Besides, you're disciples of the Demon Hall, and we're law enforcement officers of the Demon Hall. We're all on the same side. There's no need to fight with each other. The 10 law enforcement officers spoke one after another. No matter what, they had to calm this man and wolf down first. Otherwise, they would not have a good ending. On the same side. Don't you think it's funny that you're saying these words now? The white-eyed wolf's eyes were filled with killing intent. He activated instant time and instantly charged toward the 10 law enforcement officers. Chapter 3, Release at 10 a.m. Chapter 34-72. Don't, the expressions of the 10 changed as they hurriedly retreated with the black-clothed man. As the enforcers of the demonic palace, their cultivation was naturally not weak. 6 perfected sovereigns and 4 perfected sovereigns. Such a lineup could not be ignored in the sky cloud realm. However, before Elder Hua appeared, they truly did not dare to make a move. If they completely angered Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf, causing them to take out their sovereign weapons, then even if they had heaven-defying abilities, they would not be able to escape death. Is this all the enforcers of the demonic palace have? The white-eyed wolf's face was filled with disdain. Schwa. At the same time, Qin Feiyang used the spacetime step and landed beside the white-eyed wolf. He shook his head and sighed. With such guts, you dare to chase after us? The eyes of the 10 enforcers were filled with anger. If we didn't have a sovereign weapon, do you think we would dare to make a move? Let's end this quickly. Qin Feiyang glanced at the white-eyed wolf. No problem. The white-eyed wolf chuckled as he activated instant time and chased after them like a bolt of lightning. At the same time, the supreme profundity of the law of death was unleashed, bringing with it a monstrous might. The world was instantly dyed dark red as a terrifying aura of death drowned the 10 enforcers like a tide. The supreme profundity of the law of death, the supreme profundity of the law of time, the rumors are indeed true. He has grasped 3 supreme profundities. The 3rd supreme profundity, if the voice transmission is true, is the law of spacetime. The eyes of the 10 enforcers trembled. What kind of freak was this? It was difficult for others to comprehend even one supreme law, but this wolf cub had actually grasped 3 supreme profundities. Even perfected and perfected sovereigns like them would find it difficult to resist the supreme profundities of the supreme laws. This was because the white-eyed wolf's cultivation was no longer that of a low-stage sovereign. With his cultivation at the late-stage sovereign stage and the supreme profundities of the 3 supreme laws, even without a sovereign weapon, he was completely capable of contending with them. Boom! The 10 of them worked together, and various laws and profundities appeared, attacking Waning Moon together. Along with an enormous explosion, the heavens and the earth here instantly collapsed, and even the city was destroyed. Everyone here soared into the sky and looked over with surprise and bewilderment in their eyes. Crack! Facing the combined attacks of 10 people, Waning Moon collapsed. The white-eyed wolf's body trembled slightly, and a trace of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. White-eyed wolf was not afraid of anyone in a one-on-one fight. However, if they joined forces, it would not be easy for the white-eyed wolf to defeat them. After all, the other party had 4 perfect sovereigns. Don't force us. One of the law enforcers shouted. The white-eyed wolf wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. His eyes were filled with ferocity. Boom! The Edict of Death and the Edict of Spacetime were activated at the same time. As a dark red crescent moon rose into the sky, the surrounding void collapsed crazily, turning into sharp arrows that seemed to fill up half of the sky. As expected, it's the ultimate profundity of the spacetime laws of nature. Aren't you afraid that your actions here would affect the residents of the city? The 10 of them roared. Do you think that I would care about their fate? The white-eyed wolf laughed coldly, and then he waved his claw. The crescent moon and the sharp arrows that covered the sky instantly shattered into pieces and shot towards them. It seems like Qin Feiyang and Wolf King are fighting the law enforcers of the Devil Palace. Isn't Qin Feiyang a disciple of the Devil Palace? Why are they fighting? The residents of the city had bewildered expressions on their faces. Moreover, they were retreating towards the back of the city so as to avoid being affected by the battle. As for the 10 law enforcers, their faces were extremely gloomy as they gazed at the 2 supreme profundities that were charging towards them. We have no choice but to attack. But we can't fight here. We have to go to the Milky Way. Otherwise, we won't be able to report back to the city if we injure the residents of the city. Qin Feiyang, Wolf King. If you have the ability, then activate your sovereign weapons and fight us in the Milky Way. The 10 of them roared and immediately shot towards the Milky Way with the middle-aged man in tow. The white-eyed wolf laughed coldly, and then he waved his claw. The 2 supreme profundities spun through the air, and they carried a destructive aura as they chased after the 10 law enforcers. As for the white-eyed wolf and Qin Feiyang, they were naturally fearless and chased after them into the Milky Way. Toss him into a spatial artifact. After they entered the Milky Way, one of the law enforcers pointed at the black-clothed middle-aged man and shouted at the other law enforcers. As law enforcers, they naturally didn't lack spatial artifacts. It was just a matter of their quality. So, every single one of them had a spatial artifact. The law enforcers immediately tossed the middle-aged man into a spatial artifact. Soon after, the 10 of them turned around and gazed at the 2 supreme profundities that were charging towards them, and killing intent surged in their eyes. Bang! The various 5th profundities appeared in unison. Perfect sovereigns grasped 6 5th profundities while perfect sovereigns grasped 5 5th profundities. 10 law enforcers, 4 perfect sovereigns, and 6 perfect sovereigns. That was a total of 54 5th profundities. The 54 5th profundities contained world-shaking power as they blasted towards the 2 supreme profundities. The Milky Way instantly collapsed crazily, and it was like a scene of heaven and earth being destroyed. It was truly shocking. Rumble. Following the sounds of collisions, all the profundities and abilities collapsed one after another. The 6 perfect sovereigns were sent flying as though they were struck by lightning, and blood spurted out of their mouths. The other 4 perfect sovereigns were also bleeding from the corners of their mouths, and their faces were pale. They were astonished. Was this the power of the supreme profundities of the supreme laws? Even though the white-eyed wolf was only at the greater mastery sovereign realm, he was still able to fight against the 10 of them. It really made people envious and jealous. If they also grasped supreme profundities, even if they only grasped one supreme law, it would be enough to bring them supreme status and glory. Their thinking was a little naive. Was the supreme law something that could be obtained just because one wanted it? Looking at the ingrate on the other side, he was also retreating. However, to him, this injury was nothing. Because his physical body was also very strong, and he had merged with the flame of life, so he had the ability to heal himself. Boring, let's end this. The white-eyed wolf stabilized his body, shook his head, and activated instant time. He instantly appeared in front of one of the enforcers, and with a swipe of his claws, that enforcer screamed in pain as he was sent flying like a meteorite. His chi was also shattered on the spot. So fast. The other 9 enforcers couldn't help but feel numb. Suddenly, one of the enforcer's eyes landed on Qin Feiyang, who was not far away. He had heard that Qin Feiyang hadn't comprehended the supreme profundities yet. Swoosh! That enforcer decisively charged towards Qin Feiyang. The other 3 enforcers immediately understood the enforcer's intention, and they immediately charged towards Qin Feiyang. These 4 enforcers were the 4 perfect sovereigns. Their goal was very simple, to capture the leader first. Since they couldn't defeat the white-eyed wolf, they would target Qin Feiyang, who was weaker. As long as Qin Feiyang didn't activate his sovereign divine weapon, it would be a piece of cake for them. The white-eyed wolf was stunned when he saw this scene, but soon, he pursed his lips into a mocking smile. He ignored them and charged towards the other 5 perfect sovereigns. It was necessary to pick on the soft persimmon. However, he had to see if the other party was a soft persimmon. It was possible that the soft persimmon was a terrifying existence that didn't have fangs yet. Qin Feiyang was stunned when he saw this. He then shook his head and smiled bitterly, seems like I've been underestimated. Qin Feiyang, if you have the ability, then be a man and fight with us fair and square. Don't always rely on your sovereign divine weapon. The 4 enforcers roared, and the 5th profound meaning roared out. With the power to destroy the world, they charged towards Qin Feiyang. Although your provocation seems clumsy, I've decided to do as you wish. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly, and the karma law spread out. Hearing this, the 4 enforcers were delighted. He actually didn't use his sovereign divine weapon. Wasn't that courting death? But in the next moment, the smiles on their faces froze. Boom! Accompanied by a terrifying aura, the karma law in Qin Feiyang's body gushed out like a volcanic eruption. Immediately after, 10 golden lotuses appeared out of nowhere. What? The 4 enforcers' expressions changed. Their eyes must be playing tricks on them. Who in the sky cloud realm didn't know that Qin Feiyang hadn't comprehended the profound meaning? Not only Qin Feiyang, but Madman Mo also hadn't comprehended the profound meaning. They were just talented. The 4 of them weren't willing to believe it. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and the 10 golden lotuses whistled forward and collided with their 5th profound meaning. A shocking wave of energy instantly surged out in all directions. Fortunately, they were in the Milky Way, otherwise, Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf would have destroyed Ocean of Cloud City. Crack! Their 5th profound meaning collapsed and was obliterated. It really is the profound meaning. He comprehended the profound meaning at such a young age, and it's even one of the strongest laws, the karma law. Why are all of them so monstrous? Their gazes trembled. Qin Feiyang was a sovereign at the mastery realm as well. Coupled with the white-eyed wolf, he didn't need to use his sovereign divine weapon at all. They'd thought that they could crush Qin Feiyang and even ridicule him in their hearts, but it turned out that they were too ignorant. The man and wolf's current strength wasn't something that ordinary perfect sovereigns like them could handle. Ah! Meanwhile, shrill cries of pain resounded. The four of them hurriedly turned around to look, and they saw that the five sovereigns had been heavily injured by the white-eyed wolf. Their energy seas had been shattered, their bodies were covered in blood, and they didn't have the ability to fight back at all. Do we even need to use our sovereign divine weapons with just a few lackeys like you? The white-eyed wolf turned around and smiled at the four of them. The four of them couldn't help but feel a chill run down their spines when they saw that smile, and they even had the thought of detonating themselves. When they turned around to look at Qin Feiyang, they saw a faint smile on his face as well, and they couldn't help but feel a strand of terror that couldn't be dispelled surged out from their hearts. It's all a misunderstanding. The four of them roared in despair. However, even they didn't believe that it was a misunderstanding, so how could they convince him? They weren't fools. Especially Qin Feiyang. He'd first dealt with the Independent Cultivator Alliance, then dealt with the Blood Hall, and even eliminated the Blood Hall from Skycloud Dimension. How could such a person be so easily fooled? End of Chapter 1. Chapter 3473. Misunderstanding. The white-eyed wolf cackled. With a wave of its paw, the starry river around it collapsed crazily, and a torrent of ice crystals appeared. At the same time, Qin Feiyang also activated the Karma Law's supreme profoundness. The 10 golden lotuses shone brightly and exuded a destructive aura. Let's talk. The four of them were terrified. They weren't confident in dealing with the white-eyed wolf, let alone the two of them. However, Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf turned a deaf ear to them. Boom! Accompanied by an earth-shattering explosion, the two supreme profound meanings attacked the four of them at the same time. The four of them naturally wouldn't sit still and wait for their deaths. Two of them activated their profoundness and attacked the 10 golden lotuses while the other two activated their profoundness and attacked the torrent of ice crystals. In an instant, the profoundness clashed in the void. This time, there was no suspense. The four profoundness and divine abilities were instantly annihilated and a terrifying aura erupted. Immediately after, the 10 golden lotuses and the torrent of ice crystals formed a terrifying storm and instantly engulfed the four of them. Screams could be heard immediately. However, both Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf were merciful and only destroyed the bodies of the four of them. After all, it was an act. They couldn't really harm their opponents' lives. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to explain themselves when Elder Hua came to look for them. Swoosh! However, at this moment, accompanied by a piercing sound, two figures flew into the galaxy at lightning speed. White-eyed wolf! Qin Feiyang shouted. The white-eyed wolf nodded and immediately opened a space-time teleportation channel. Next, the man and the wolf entered the channel and disappeared without a trace. Swoosh! The two figures flew through the void and landed in front of the four enforcers' divine souls. They looked at the disappearing space-time teleportation channel and their faces turned ugly. They were Elder Hua and the black-robed old man. Elder Hua. The 6 perfected sovereign realm enforcers quickly flew over and looked at Elder Hua and the black-robed old man with an aggrieved expression. Didn't I tell you not to attack? Why are they fighting all the way to the galaxy? The old man in black said angrily. There's nothing we can do. The 10 law enforcers felt aggrieved. What happened? The black-clothed old man glanced at the 10 people and asked in a deep voice. The 10 of them recounted the entire process in detail. What? That Wolf King's cultivation has already reached the level of a ruler. And Qin Feiyang has also comprehended the ultimate profundity of the law of karma. The black-clothed old man's face turned pale. Were they all monsters? At such a young age, without even having the cultivation of a peak ruler, he had actually comprehended a paramount profundity. Furthermore, it was a paramount profundity of an ultimate law. No one in the entire demon hall could compare to such luck and comprehension ability. At the same time, Elder Hua's pupils shrank slightly. Qin Feiyang had already comprehended the highest profoundness of the karma laws. This was something he had not expected. Moreover, he knew the white-eyed wolf better than the old man in black. The white-eyed wolf didn't even try to comprehend the laws. It simply relied on its innate ability to plunder. In the past, the white-eyed wolf was only a peak ruler and had grasped the three paramount profundities of the ultimate laws. But now, it had actually broken through to the level of a peak ruler. This meant that it had plundered yet another law. Moreover, according to the white-eyed wolf's character, it definitely wouldn't plunder an ordinary law. In other words, the white-eyed wolf had definitely grasped the four paramount profundities of the ultimate laws. There was only one word to describe it: abnormal. When the white-eyed wolf had plundered another two laws and stepped into the level of a peak ruler, even if the remaining two laws weren't ultimate laws, the white-eyed wolf would still be able to sweep across the sky-cloud domain with the four paramount profundities of the ultimate laws. When the time came, without the sovereign divine weapon, who would be its match? And if the white-eyed wolf stepped into the level of a peak ruler and grasped the six paramount profundities of the ultimate laws, even the dragons would tremble under its feet. Elder Hua was feeling more and more fortunate. Fortunately, he had chosen to stand with Qin Feiyang and the others back then. Fortunately, he had controlled his greed and didn't covet Qin Feiyang's sovereign divine weapon. Otherwise, the Devil Hall would have ended up like the Blood Hall. Just thinking about these monstrous characters made his scalp go numb. When the black-clothed old man saw Elder Hua remaining silent, he couldn't help but ask, "My lord, what do you think about this matter?" "What else can I think? Their luck and comprehension are good, but their luck won't always be so good. We have to find an opportunity to kill them in the cradle." Elder Hua's eyes flashed with killing intent. Kill. When the black-clothed old man heard this, a trace of hesitation appeared on his face. It seemed like he wanted to ask something but didn't dare to. "If you have something to say, just say it," Elder Hua said. "Then please forgive me, my lord. With our previous relationship with Qin Feiyang and the others, we could have become partners. But why did we suddenly fall out with them? Were you really just using them in the past?" The black-clothed old man was suspicious. "Otherwise? They're just a few people from the lower domain. What right do they have to be on equal footing with the Devil Hall? Moreover, the dragons are now in the Devil Hall. If we don't do this, we'll be the ones to suffer." Elder Hua sighed. "How strong are the dragons exactly?" The black-clothed old man frowned. "How strong?" Elder Hua snorted coldly and said, "They're so strong that they can easily destroy our Devil Hall." "What?" The black-clothed old man and the 10 enforcers' faces were filled with shock. Although they knew that those people were from a mysterious race called the Dragons, they didn't know how strong the dragons were. Originally, they were still a little unconvinced. Why should they, the overlords of the Eastern continent, be so respectful to the dragons and listen to their orders? But now that they heard Elder Hua's words, their unwillingness to accept was instantly shattered. "So, in the future, when you face them, you have to treat them like your ancestors. You mustn't anger them," Elder Hua reminded. "Understood." The black-clothed old man and the 10 enforcers nodded. "You can go back. When the dragons ask, just say whatever you want. There's no need to hide anything." Elder Hua waved his hand. "Yes." The 11 enforcers replied respectfully. Then, they turned around and left the galaxy without looking back. Elder Hua's eyes flashed. He also left the galaxy and disappeared without a trace. About an hour passed. Black Tortoise Realm. Tea Garden. A palm-sized teapot was emitting faint smoke, and the aroma of tea filled the garden. At the same time, the aroma of tea was mixed with the aroma of wine. Qin Feiyang and Elder Hua sat opposite each other, leisurely sipping their tea. The white-eyed wolf sat at the side, leaning against the tea table and gulping down the black tortoise divine brew. Elder Hua shook his head and sighed. Ever since the dragons appeared, I haven't had a day of peace, let alone sitting down and quietly sipping my tea. It'll be over sooner or later. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. It doesn't matter to us as long as we listen to them. You guys are the ones who have to be careful. But then again, why does the black tortoise world feel so empty today? They can't have all gone out to train, right? I didn't even sense the aura of that little girl, Fire Lotus. Elder Hua glanced around, his face full of suspicion. They have indeed gone out to train. To them, this is a great opportunity. Just wait and see. One day, when they appear, their names will definitely shake the world. Qin Feiyang chuckled. Ah. Elder Hua was startled and looked at him suspiciously. Qin Feiyang didn't explain further. It wasn't that he didn't trust Elder Hua. It was because there were some things that fewer people knew about. Immediately after, he looked at Elder Hua and asked with a smile, judging from your aura, it seems different from before. Could it be that you have comprehended the second ultimacy? You have good eyesight. That's right. After opening the gate of potential, I felt as if I had been reborn. I went back and cultivated in the time array. It didn't take long for me to comprehend the second ultimacy. Chapter 3474. The three of you. The geniuses of the sky-cloud boundary can't even compare to trash in front of you. Elder Hua shook his head and sighed. He finally understood the saying, comparisons are odious. Don't say that. I'm born to be useful. Moreover, everyone has their own strengths that are worth learning from. But sometimes, when the weakness is too big, it will cover up the strength and it's hard to discover. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Look, with your awareness and mentality, how many people in the younger generation can compare to you? No. Other people of the younger generation, and even those of the older generation, there are not many who can compare to him. So, no matter if you're a genius or an ordinary person, the most important thing is your understanding of everything in the world. You were able to enter the state of epiphany again and again because you can see things more clearly than others. For cultivators, especially those at our level of cultivation, talent is only secondary. Understanding of all things is of utmost importance. Elder Hua smiled in relief, as if he was looking at his own grandson. His eyes were kind and amiable. No. In front of you, I'm just displaying my slight skill before an expert. Qin Feiyang quickly waved his hand. Elder Hua shook his head and laughed. He asked, then, what's your next plan? Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and raised his head to look at Elder Hua. He asked, I wonder if you've heard of the 10 strongest fighting souls in the world. The 10 strongest fighting souls. Elder Hua was slightly stunned as he asked, are you talking about the eye of reincarnation, the eye of destiny, and your eye of heaven? Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Of course. I believe that there's no one in the world who doesn't know about the existence of the 10 fighting souls. Elder Hua nodded. Then, you should know that the 10 fighting souls aren't invincible. Once you step into the sovereign realm, the 10 fighting souls are useless. Qin Feiyang said. Why do you say that? Elder Hua was suspicious. Take my eye of heaven for example. Before I stepped into the sovereign realm, I could be considered invincible. Because any attack can be replicated. Even the opponent's war soul and innate divine ability can be replicated. But now, in the face of heaven-defying techniques and profundities of laws, the eye of heaven is useless. Qin Feiyang sighed. In other words, the eye of heaven is unable to replicate the heaven-defying techniques and profundities of laws. Elder Hua asked. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. This old man really doesn't know. Because in the sky cloud realm, no one has ever opened the eye of heaven. It's no wonder you haven't opened the eye of heaven since you stepped into the sovereign realm. Elder Hua shook his head in regret. It was such a pity that such a powerful fighting soul had lost its use. Qin Feiyang shook his head. I originally thought that the eye of heaven had reached its end, but a few days ago, a friend of mine told me that the eye of heaven might still be able to evolve. At this point, Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed. Evolve? Elder Hua was surprised. Qin Feiyang nodded and briefly explained the situation. What? The first prince of the dragons has also opened the eye of heaven? Elder Hua suddenly stood up. Didn't they say that the 10 fighting souls were unique? Why would there be 2 now? Yes. If you want to evolve your eye of heaven, you have to devour the opponent's eye of heaven. So now, it's not just me. The first prince of the dragons also wants to complete the eye of heaven. So, a battle between us is inevitable. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Elder Hua pondered for a moment and asked, so, your next step is to hunt down the first prince of the dragons? It's not the next step. I'm already planning it. Qin Feiyang smiled. That's a little difficult. The first prince of the dragons is now in the demonic palace. The 4 followers by his side are all extremely powerful. They even have sovereign divine weapons. Moreover, I've interacted with him a few times. I feel that he's not someone ordinary young people can compare to. Elder Hua shook his head worriedly. I know. But for now, I have the advantage. Because I have 2 sovereign divine weapons and the slaughter domain. He only has 1 sovereign divine weapon. As for his followers, no matter how strong they are, they won't be able to resist the sovereign divine weapon in the slaughter domain. Moreover, to be honest with you, the dragons aren't united. Qin Feiyang chuckled. What do you mean? Elder Hua was stunned and looked at him suspiciously. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, the little princess of the dragons seems to have a grudge against the first prince. She actually joined forces with me to deal with the first prince. What? She joined forces with you? Elder Hua's eyes widened. This was even more shocking than hearing that Qin Feiyang had comprehended the supreme profundity of the law of karma. Yes. Even now, we're already in a state of cooperation. I only found out from her that the first prince and the others are currently in the demonic palace. That's why I came to the eastern continent. Qin Feiyang smiled. Elder Hua frowned. After pondering for a moment, he asked, could this be a scam? I thought so too, but it shouldn't be possible. Because I've observed the little princess of the dragons. Her hatred for the first prince is definitely not something that can be faked. Qin Feiyang shook his head. But that's not all. Even if she really wants to use you to get rid of the first prince of the dragons, she'll definitely take the opportunity to scheme against you. As the saying goes, the mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. At that time, if she's not careful, she might become the biggest winner. Elder Hua's expression was solemn. The meaning behind his words was obvious. This was a game of chess for the little princess of the dragons. She would let Qin Feiyang and the first prince of the dragons fight first. When both of them were injured, she would come out and wipe them out in one fell swoop. This way, she could get rid of the first prince and Qin Feiyang at the same time. It was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. When Qin Feiyang heard this, he took a sip of tea and smiled. It won't be that easy for her to become the biggest winner here. Elder Hua couldn't help but laugh. It seemed like this kid already had a plan in mind. It seemed like he was worrying too much. Indeed. With this kid's intellect, those who could scheme against him might not even be born yet. Although I have a plan in mind, I still have to take each step carefully. After all, the enemy is the dragons. If I'm not careful, I'll be crushed. So, I need your help. Qin Feiyang put down his teacup and looked at Elder Hua with a hint of pleading in his eyes. Speak. As long as it doesn't implicate the demonic palace, I'll do my best. Elder Hua said. Don't worry. I won't drag the demonic palace down. Qin Feiyang promised solemnly. Elder Hua believed him. If Qin Feiyang really wanted to drag the demonic palace down, he wouldn't have gone through so much trouble to cut ties with the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. Back then, when I was working with the little princess, she promised me that she would hold back the other princes and princesses and not let them interfere in the battle between me and the first prince. This way, it'll be easier for me to get rid of the first prince. However, as you said before, the mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. We have to be wary of her and not let her be the oriole. So, the only way is to fight the first prince secretly and end the battle quickly before she can react. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed coldly. Elder Hua pondered for a while and nodded. This method is feasible. No. It's not feasible at all. Qin Feiyang waved his hand. Elder Hua was stunned and looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. You're the one who said that this is the only way. Why did you reject it? The white-eyed wolf was also puzzled. What's in this kid's mind? Qin Feiyang smiled. The reason why I said it's not feasible is because the first prince of the dragons won't give us the chance. The first prince of the dragons? Elder Hua and the white-eyed wolf were even more puzzled. The first prince of the dragons has already suffered a great loss in our hands. So, he'll definitely be more cautious when facing us again. He knows in his heart that it's impossible for him to kill us with the people and the sovereign divine weapon in his hands. So, when the time comes, he'll definitely send a message to the other princes and princesses before the battle, asking them to join forces and kill us together. Qin Feiyang said. What you're saying is that we have to challenge him in advance so that he has time to plan in advance. As long as we catch him off guard and kill him when he's unprepared, what else can he plan? Besides, who would be so stupid as to challenge him in advance? The white-eyed wolf said disdainfully. That's right. We definitely won't challenge them in advance. Only fools would do that. But now, these princesses and princes are like birds that are startled by the twang of a bow. They'll definitely inform each other if there's even the slightest movement. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Elder Hua was stunned and said, startled birds? Not to that extent, right? No. There's something you don't know. In addition to attacking the second princess of the dragons at the entrance of the Yin Demon Land, we also attacked the prince of the Blood Dragon clan at the entrance of the Heavy region in the western mainland not long ago. 2 of his followers were killed, and he himself almost lost his life. The power of law that the white-eyed wolf plundered belonged to one of them. Qin Feiyang smiled. Ah. Elder Hua was stunned. His actions were too fast. Not long after attacking the second princess of the dragons, he attacked the prince of the Blood Dragon clan. Not to mention the dragons, even if it were them, they wouldn't be able to take precautions in time. This was because according to the way ordinary people dealt with, when facing a huge monster like the dragons, they would definitely hide first, increase their strength, adjust their state, and make preparations before taking the next step. However, Qin Feiyang just didn't play his cards according to common sense. If you think I don't dare to make a move now, then I'll make a move at this time and catch you off guard. First, it was the first prince of the dragons. Then, I fought with the second princess and the third prince in the Yin Demon Land. Then, I ambushed them and made them suffer losses. After suffering so many losses in a row, no matter how good a person's mentality is, they would feel the pressure. Moreover, they thought that as long as they moved from the open to the dark, they would be able to turn defeat into victory. But in the end, they were caught off guard by me. This kind of psychological burden and pressure, as well as the sense of defeat, isn't something that flowers in a greenhouse like them can bear. Therefore, their current situation is no different from a bird startled by the twang of a bough. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. That makes sense. Although these people are talented, have powerful backgrounds, and have resources that others can't imagine in their lifetime, their hearts are weak, and they can't bear it. So, young people should still go out and explore more. How can they become successful without experiencing wind and rain? Elder Hua shook his head and sighed. This was a gory example. It seemed that when teaching the Demon Hall disciples in the future, he would have to pay special attention to this point. Chapter 3475. The white-eyed wolf pondered for a moment and grinned. That's simple. We'll set up a trap and lure him to a place without him knowing. Then, we'll kill him quickly. That's why we need Elder Hua's help. Qin Feiyang smiled. The white-eyed wolf was slightly stunned and hurriedly said, "It can't be. You want Elder Hua to personally lead the first prince of the dragons into our trap? That won't do. What if we fail or one of them escapes? Wouldn't Elder Hua be in trouble?" That's right. That's not a joke. Even if you can kill the first prince of the dragons and his followers, what about the ruler weapon? Are you confident in destroying it or subduing it? No. Once it escapes, not only me, but the entire Demon Hall will have to face the revenge of the dragons. Elder Hua hurriedly shook his head. He absolutely had to be on high alert and not treat this matter lightly. Of course I know. Also, I don't have 100% chance of success. After all, the first prince of the dragons came prepared this time. So, I naturally can't let you take this risk. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Elder Hua heaved a sigh of relief and asked, "Then what's your plan?" Qin Feiyang said, "I need you to think of a way to make the dragons leave the Demon Hall." Make him leave the Demon Hall? Elder Hua was slightly stunned and said with difficulty, "That's not good. Moreover, you need a suitable reason. I can't just run over and tell him that the Demon Hall doesn't welcome him and ask him to leave. Wouldn't that be courting death? I didn't say I'll chase him away. I just need to think of a way to make him go out for a stroll. For example, Wind Ocean City, Cloud Ocean City, etc. Only then will I have a chance to get close to him. Of course, I don't have to go through so much trouble. I can just sneak into the Demon Hall and find a way to get close to him. But if that's really the case, when the dragons investigate, even if the Demon Hall has nothing to do with this matter, the dragons will definitely vent their anger on you." Qin Feiyang said. "He's not being chased out of the Devil Hall." Elder Hua smiled awkwardly and nodded, "That's easy. If he keeps staying in the Demon Hall, he will definitely be annoyed. As long as we tempt him a little, it will be easy to lure him out." At this point, Elder Hua's expression turned solemn. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "However, don't do it in a crowded place. It's best if you don't do it in the Eastern continent." Qin Feiyang was stunned and said helplessly, "Then tell me, where should I go?" "You can go anywhere except the Eastern continent. Why don't you just go and wreak havoc on the Western continent?" Elder Hua smiled evilly. Hearing this, Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes. How could he possibly do such a thing? If he really did that, it would be strange if Shizuan and the Hall of Famers didn't skin him alive. Don't say that this old man isn't honest. There's a saying that goes, "Every man for himself, and the devil takes the hindmost." Elder Hua smiled mischievously. He really looked like an old man. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. He thought for a while and shook his head, "I'll think about this carefully. Help me lure him out and tell me his whereabouts immediately. Leave the rest to me. Remember, don't be too deliberate when you're trying to trick him. Do I need you to teach me such a small thing? Do you think this old man has lived his life for nothing?" Elder Hua glared at him. "Ha, I'm just afraid that you'll be too deliberate and arouse their suspicion. Qin Feiyang smiled wryly. Cut it out. I think you're just underestimating my ability. Let me tell you, kid. Although you're famous now, when it comes to scheming, even if there are 10 of you, Qin Feiyang, this old man can still scheme against you. Elder Hua snorted coldly. That's very true. The white-eyed wolf nodded and shook his head. He looked at Qin Feiyang and bared his teeth. Little Qin Zi, no matter how powerful we are, we can't scheme against an old fox, right? When Elder Hua heard the first sentence, he was quite proud. Look, even this shameless wolf cub agreed. But when he heard the second sentence, his expression suddenly froze. Old fox. After all this time, he was cursing him in a roundabout way. The anger in his heart immediately flared up. Please calm down, please calm down. The white-eyed wolf actually meant that the older the ginger, the spicier it is. We, the younger generation, should learn humbly from you. Qin Feiyang quickly smiled apologetically, but his face was also red. It was rare to see such a cute side of Elder Hua. Elder Hua snorted and glared fiercely at Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf. As expected, these two were not good people. Qin Feiyang took a sip of tea and smiled. Jokes aside, there's something that you have to be mentally prepared for. What is it? Elder Hua was suspicious. The first prince of the dragons will probably ask you to help. After all, you, Chu Yun, the hall master, and the first elder are all existences who have grasped the strongest laws. Qin Feiyang said. Elder Hua lowered his head and pondered for a while. He waved his hand and said, we'll talk about it when the time comes. We'll act according to the circumstances. You're quite carefree. However, when it comes to fighting with you, I won't be merciful. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. If he was merciful, then the show wouldn't be real. Elder Hua chuckled and said, don't worry, this old man won't be merciful either. Qin Feiyang laughed and nodded, all right, I'll send you out first and wait for your good news. Elder Hua drank the last mouthful of tea and put down the teacup. He looked at the tea trees around him and said, after this matter with the dragons is over, you have to give me some of these tea leaves. All right. At that time, you can have as many as you want. Qin Feiyang stood up and smiled. Then it's a deal. Elder Hua laughed heartily and let Qin Feiyang send him out. The white-eyed wolf slowly stood up and drank a mouthful of wine. He shook his head and said, it's too troublesome to lure them and think of a way to get close. There's no other way. The current situation doesn't allow us to act recklessly. Think about it, if we directly attack the demon palace, won't the other princes and princesses interfere? Most importantly, we have to worry about the demon palace's safety. In short, with our current situation, we can't take a single wrong step, and we can't reveal any traces that are detrimental to the demon palace. Otherwise, the consequences will be unimaginable. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. The white-eyed wolf said, in the end, this is the price of being loyal. But you also have to admit that if we were like those cold-blooded and heartless people who don't care about the lives of others and only care about our own happiness, then not only the Demon Palace and the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, but even Little Rabbit wouldn't help us. As the saying goes, if you give up something, you gain something. Qin Feiyang smiled. You can only gain something if you give up something. Similarly, if you gain something, you will definitely lose something. In this world, there's nothing perfect. Alright, you do as you see fit. Anyway, when the time comes, I'll just fight with you. I'll go find Zhao Si and get some unparalleled divine wine. While I'm still alive, I'll drink a few jugs. The white-eyed wolf waved his claws and flew out of the demon land without looking back. This guy, Qin Feiyang, shook his head and laughed. He was really touched by the words "I'll fight with you." How many friends could one find in one's life like the white-eyed wolf, who would go through life and death with you? And no matter what you did, he would support you unconditionally. To be honest, In this world of mutual deception, it was difficult to find one. Therefore, he had to cherish it. Chapter 3476. Demon Palace. When Elder Hua returned to the Demon Palace, he immediately found Chu Yun and the Demon Palace Lord and set up a soundproof barrier. He then told them about Qin Feiyang's plan. The two of them pondered for a moment, then said that they could secretly help Qin Feiyang. However, they could not harm the interests of the Demon Palace. Elder Hua also clearly expressed Qin Feiyang's position. He would never harm the interests of the Demon Palace. Thus, the two of them did not object. However, scheming against the first prince of the dragons was not a small matter. He had to be careful. In short, he could not leave any traces. The Demon Palace Lord thought for a long time, then looked at the two of them and said, "We can only start with the interests of the first prince of the dragons." That's what this old man thinks too. However, I've only interacted with him a few times. I really don't know what interests he has. Moreover, it's not good to ask directly now. Otherwise, it would seem too deliberate. Elder Hua shook his head. It was very simple to think about, but when it came to actually doing it, it felt a little difficult. The Demon Palace Lord pondered for a while, then looked at Chu Yun and asked, "Little Yun, you seem to have been the one receiving the first prince of the dragons these days, right? Did you see anything?" "I was indeed the one receiving him." Chu Yun nodded, then frowned and said, "But this person seems to be keeping a distance from me. It's difficult to even get close to him, let alone understand him." "So cautious?" The Demon Palace Lord was surprised. "According to my observation, he's not only keeping a distance from me, but also from others. In short, this person is a little difficult to deal with." Chu Yun rubbed her forehead, feeling rather annoyed. If it wasn't for the other party's powerful background, she wouldn't have bothered to serve him. It seems like it's as Qin Feiyang expected. These princes and princesses of the dragons are already frightened. Other than themselves and their followers, no one else will believe them. Elder Hua shook his head with a hint of mockery. The dragon clan, who ruled over a forbidden area, should have been revered and worshipped by tens of thousands of people as soon as they walked out. But now, as the princes and princesses of the dragons, they were all like mice that had seen a cat. It was both laughable and sad. Actually, it's not hard to guess their interests and hobbies. Generally speaking, for a young man like the first prince, even if he is a mystical dragon, his interests and hobbies are probably no different from others. Eat, drink, and play. Lust for beauty. Playthings smother one's will. We can start from these aspects. Chu Yun sneered. Lust for beauty? That shouldn't exist, right? A great beauty like you standing in front of him every day. If he was really greedy for beauty, he would have made a move on you long ago. The Devil Hall Master chuckled. Hall Master, what are you talking about? Can you be serious? When Chu Yun heard this, her face turned slightly red and she stomped her feet in anger. Hee hee. The Demon Hall's Hall Master smiled and said, "Then let's try them one by one. I'll leave this task to you." Me again? Chu Yun was stunned. What else? The Devil Hall's Hall Master asked. Let him go. Chu Yun pointed at Elder Hua. Cough cough. Elder Hua coughed dryly and smiled awkwardly. He can't be interested in an old man like me, right? You're the one who wants to help Qin Feiyang, not me. You'll definitely do it yourself. Besides, I have to manage the Demon Tower and the various city lord manors. I'm so busy all day. How would I have the mood to care about Qin Feiyang? Chu Yun snorted, her face full of displeasure. I don't object to whatever decision you want to make, but can you not throw everything to her? Elder Hua chuckled and said, You really have to go on this matter. Give me an answer. Chu Yun frowned. It's very simple. You're young. You have a lot to talk about with someone like the first prince of the dragons. Besides, you've always been the one receiving him. It won't seem deliberate if you look for him. As for the matters of the Demon Tower and the various city lord manors, you can put them aside for the time being. I'll let the first elder manage them on your behalf. Girl, I believe in your ability. Otherwise, I wouldn't be at ease letting you go. Elder Hua chuckled. Then shouldn't I thank you? Chu Yun raised her eyebrows. Elder Hua hurriedly waved his hand and said, there's no need to thank me. We're all on the same side. Just do your best to complete the mission. Chu Yun rolled her eyes when she heard this. She looked at the Devil Hall's hall master and said angrily, are you the hall master, or is he the hall master? Why does he have the final say? Cough cough. Little Yun, we have to respect the old and love the young, understand? We'll talk about it later. In private, Qin Feiyang is not only a disciple of our Demon Hall, but he also gave us pills to unlock the door of potential. Moreover, Fire Lotus is your junior sister. In public, we're partners and allies. So when he's in trouble, we should lend a helping hand. As the saying goes, the capable do more work. Elder Hua and I have discussed this long ago. You're the most suitable person to take over as the next hall master. So at this time, you need to produce some results so that everyone will be convinced by you in the future. The Devil Hall's hall master smiled. Successor? Chu Yun was stunned. That's right. Elder Hua nodded and said with a hoarse smile, we've all seen your ability. The successor is none other than you. If it's so troublesome every day, I don't want to be the successor. Chu Yun pursed her lips. The Devil Hall's hall master and Elder Hua looked at each other and couldn't help but have a trace of helplessness on their faces. They sighed and said, don't break our hearts. All right. Can you stop acting in front of me? Chu Yun rubbed her forehead and looked at Elder Hua helplessly. She said, all right, for my junior sister, I'll try my best. Elder Hua couldn't help but smile when he heard this. Is Elder Hua here? Suddenly, a loud and resounding voice resounded from outside the hall. Elder Hua and the others exchanged glances, and then a bright glow flashed in their eyes. They swiftly removed the sound barrier, and then the Devil Hall's hall master waved his hand. The door to the hall opened slowly, and then a robust man who was over 2 meters tall immediately entered their fields of vision. He had a robust figure and wore a pair of golden pants. His upper body was bare, and his skin was bronze-colored while he emanated a ferocious aura. The three of them moved forward to greet him. Elder Hua was overwhelmed by the unexpected favor and smiled, why have you come here personally? Just give the order and I'll rush over right away. However, the robust man didn't have a good expression on his face when facing this. Moreover, he even gazed at Elder Hua and the others with a superior attitude, and it was like he was looking at ants. Such a gaze caused Elder Hua and the others to feel extremely displeased. The robust man gazed at Elder Hua and asked with an expressionless face, Her Highness asked me to come over and ask if Qin Feiyang appeared in Ocean of Cloud City just now. Yes. Elder Hua nodded, and then he asked, didn't my subordinates report it to you? They did. But their words can't be trusted. So, Her Highness asked me to confirm it with you. The robust man spoke. It really did happen. However, when I received the news and rushed over, Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf had already fled. All of you should be aware that Qin Feiyang is extremely cunning. Coupled with the fact that the white-eyed wolf has grasped the laws of space, it's truly difficult to capture them on the spot. I was just about to head over and apologize to the first prince. Elder Hua lowered his head as he spoke. The robust man pondered deeply for a moment and asked, so, Qin Feiyang should still be in the eastern continent. Elder Hua hesitated for a moment and shook his head, I don't dare to confirm it. What a piece of trash. The robust man grunted coldly, and then he turned around and left. A wisp of a cold glow immediately arose in Elder Hua's eyes. Do you really think that the Devil Hall is the back garden of all of you dragons, and you can curse and leave as you please? Killing intent surged in the eyes of the Devil Hall's Hall Master and Chu Yun. The Devil Hall had dominated the Eastern continent for so many years. Even when they faced the Blood Hall and the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, they had never suffered such humiliation. Elder Hua glanced at Chu Yun and transmitted his voice, "Little Yun, it's up to you now. Don't worry. Leave it to me." Chu Yun muttered. Initially, she was a little unwilling to do this when Elder Hua asked her to do it. However, when she saw the attitude of the dragons, the unwillingness in her heart instantly disappeared. Arrogant. Humph. She would pay the price for this. Next. Every time Chu Yun went to meet the first prince of the dragons, not only would she carefully observe his every move, but she would also take the initiative to get close to him and beat around the bush when they were chatting. She had a good grasp of the situation. It was completely impossible to tell that she was there to inquire about information. After 2 months of hard work, not only did she gain a lot, but her relationship with the first prince of the dragons had also become much closer. Even if he did not say much, at least for now, he would not reject her. Sometimes, the dragon race's first prince would even take the initiative to chat with Chu Yun. 2 months had passed in the outside world. It had been 60,000 years in the Black Tortoise world. The white-eyed wolf had been living very freely these days. He was either drinking or on the way to get wine. Now, Zhao Si and the other 14 brewers had become the white-eyed wolf's favorite people. The white-eyed wolf had even helped them open the door to potential. This made Pei Dason and Pei Hongyu extremely envious. However, there was nothing they could do. After all, Zhao Si could brew a peerless divine brew and gain the favor of the white-eyed wolf. In fact, Pei Dason and Pei Hongyu were also cautious and conscientious. Although they were not as good as the 3 brothers, Fire Lotus, Pai Lupi, Theta Wang, and Hei Bao, at least there were no problems. All in all, their performance was not bad. If he did not know that they were here for the door to potential, the white-eyed wolf would really help them. But unfortunately, the siblings' motives were not pure from the beginning. As for Qin Feiyang, he had been comprehending the profound laws in the ancient castle. After many exchanges, and through Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan's constant explanations, whether it was the law of war, the law of wind, or the law of strength, he already had a unique understanding. These 3 laws were also what he was focusing on now. As for the law of light, it was completely thrown aside. On this day, he sat quietly in the cultivation room, his expression calm, his heart as still as water, his mind constantly evolving the profound laws of war. Chapter 3477. Boom! Suddenly, a loud sound exploded in Qin Feiyang's body, as if a door was opened. Following that, a terrifying battle intent roared out from his body. At the same time, Qin Feiyang's aura soared. In just an instant, he stepped into the perfect dominator realm. Swish! The moment he stepped into the perfect dominator realm, Qin Feiyang opened his eyes, which were burning with uncontrollable battle intent. I finally comprehended the 5th profound, the 5th level battle intent. Qin Feiyang was excited. The law profound was really too difficult. If he wasn't lucky enough to obtain the inheritance of the destruction law, even if he comprehended the 5th profound of the war law, he would still be a great success dominator. In other words, it took him a long time to comprehend the 5th profound of the war law. Because the last time he comprehended the slaughter law, it was before the war with the Blood Hall. However, it was different now. He grasped the 2 supreme profound of the 2 supreme laws and had the perfect dominator realm cultivation. Facing those ordinary perfect dominators, he had the ability to crush them. Even if it was an expert like Wang Changyuan, he could still fight if he tried his best. Because Wang Changyuan only grasped the supreme profound of the ordinary laws. Swish! Qin Feiyang retracted his aura, stood up, and instantly appeared outside the ancient castle. The Devil's Land was still as cold and cheerless as before. Pei Dason and Pei Hongyu were nowhere to be seen. The white-eyed wolf was in the Devil's Land, but it was still the same, lying on a branch of the fortune tree, eating spirit fruits while drinking unparalleled divine brew. There was no one else who knew how to enjoy life more than it. You're out. The battle intent that appeared just now was yours, right? Not bad, not bad, you broke through to the perfect dominator realm so quickly. Work harder. When you step into the perfect dominator realm, those dragons, princesses, and princes will all be ants. The white-eyed wolf bared its teeth and threw a pot of unparalleled divine brew to Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang caught the wine pot and shook his head with a smile. No matter how good the divine brew was, it wasn't as comfortable as a cup of tea. However, at this moment, it was indeed worth celebrating. For others, stepping into the perfect dominator realm was nothing worth celebrating. Only stepping into the perfect dominator realm was the most glorious moment. But he was different. He had mastered the supreme profundities of two supreme laws. Stepping into the peak dominator realm was equivalent to stepping into the peak of the sky cloud realm. Opening the wine pot, Qin Feiyang raised his head and drank a mouthful. He smiled and said, I wonder how senior brother Lunatic is doing now. Him. He's definitely not making any progress. The white-eyed wolf pouted. Stay where we are. Qin Feiyang was astonished. He smiled bitterly and said, do you not understand the situation? He is now cultivating in a time array that lasts 5,000 years a day. When the white-eyed wolf heard this, his expression froze. He had really forgotten about this. 2 months had passed, which was 60,000 years in the Black Tortoise world, and 300,000 years in Sky Cloud Island's time array. Given the madman's perception and the little rabbit's guidance, he might have already comprehended a supreme profound meaning and become a peak dominator. No. He might even be a peak dominator. With the madman's ability and the little rabbit's help, comprehending the light law, war law, or darkness law's fifth profound meaning wouldn't be difficult. No, no. I have to work hard as well. The white-eyed wolf got up and jumped in front of Qin Feiyang. He asked, what kind of law do the followers of the first prince have mastered? I don't know. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Then you should quickly ask Elder Hua. The white-eyed wolf urged. If the dragon's first prince's 4 followers all mastered supreme laws, and none of them were white-eyed wolves, then it would be great. Stepping into the peak dominator realm would be a matter of minutes. What's the rush? In the past, I didn't know about the existence of the dragons, so it was a bit of a headache. Should I start with the Sky Hall or the Deities Hall? But now, with the appearance of the dragons, is there a need to worry about not finding a target? Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Of course, I understand this logic. I just want to quickly integrate the 6 types of laws and step into the peak dominator realm, lest that little lunatic comes back and acts cool in front of us. The white-eyed wolf bared his teeth. We are all on the same side. Does it matter? Qin Feiyang was speechless. Of course. I don't like to see people act cool in front of me, including you. The white-eyed wolf sneered. Ah. Qin Feiyang was stunned. He laughed and said, the key is that I am indeed stronger than you now. So what if you have mastered the 4 supreme laws? My cultivation is higher than yours. Just the supreme laws of karma alone can crush you. Look, look, look. How shameless. The white-eyed wolf's eyes were filled with disdain. Buzz. At this moment, Qin Feiyang's divine voice transmission stone vibrated. Qin Feiyang was stunned. He took out the divine voice transmission stone. Is it Elder Hua? The white-eyed wolf asked. Yes. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes and activated the divine voice transmission stone. Elder Hua's shadow immediately appeared. How is it? Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. Elder Hua laughed and said, after 2 months of hard work by Xiao Yun, we have finally settled the first prince of the dragons. Settled? Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf were stunned. Could it be that Chu Yun had assassinated the first prince of the dragons? That would save them a lot of trouble. Elder Hua said, Xiao Yun has gradually gained the trust of the first prince of the dragons and found out about his interests and hobbies. Interests and hobbies. The corners of Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf's mouths twitched. After all this time, they had thought too much. However, to be able to make someone as capable as Chu Yun spend 2 months to find out his interests and hobbies, this first prince of the dragons was really cautious. What interests and hobbies does he have? Beautiful women, good wine. The white-eyed wolf was curious. None of those. You definitely wouldn't have thought of it. Elder Hua smiled mysteriously. The white-eyed wolf was slightly stunned. He waved his claws impatiently and said, just tell me what it is. Don't keep me in suspense. Elder Hua chuckled and said, his interests and hobbies are similar to Qin Feiyang's. Similar to little Qin Zi's. The white-eyed wolf glanced at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang was also stunned. He didn't seem to have any interests and hobbies, right? Suddenly. He looked at Elder Hua and asked, tea tasting? Yes. Other than tea tasting, he also likes to listen to books. He can be considered an elegant young man. Elder Hua chuckled. Tea tasting, listening to books, Qin Feiyang muttered. His eyes flashed as he asked, is there a storytelling place in Cloud Sea City? I don't usually pay attention to it. But I heard that there are such places. But they are basically small tea houses, taverns, and so on. Elder Hua nodded. Then let's set a trap. Qin Feiyang said. The trap has been set. Elder Hua chuckled. It has been set. Qin Feiyang was stunned and asked, where is it? A small tea house called Tea Tasting House. I heard from Xiao Yun that this first prince of the dragons invited her to Tea Tasting House tomorrow morning to drink tea and listen to books. Elder Hua said. Chu Yun is quite amazing. Qin Feiyang smiled in surprise. Of course. Elder Hua raised his head proudly. What are you so proud of? Obviously, this has nothing to do with you. It's all Chu Yun's credit. You're just a person who enjoys the fruits of others' labor. The white-eyed wolf looked down on him. The corner of Elder Hua's mouth twitched. Can you save some face for me? Qin Feiyang asked, are you sure it's the first prince of the dragons who invited Chu Yun and not the other way around? I'm sure. Xiao Yun found out about his interests and hobbies, so she casually mentioned that there are some small tea houses and storytellers in Cloud Sea City. In the beginning, the first prince didn't show much interest. But not long ago, perhaps because he was bored, he suddenly sent a message to Xiao Yun and asked her to bring him to Cloud Sea City tomorrow. Elder Hua chuckled. It's been 2 months, and there's still no news from me. I think he's really bored. Alright, I'll go to Tea Tasting House tomorrow. Qin Feiyang smiled. Then be careful. Also, don't drag Xiao Yun into this. Elder Hua warned and turned off the divine voice stone. Tea Tasting House, the white-eyed wolf muttered. He looked up at Qin Feiyang and asked, what's your plan? Qin Feiyang smiled, I have a plan in mind. You stay in the Black Tortoise world for now, so as to avoid arousing suspicion if I bring you along. I'll go out and prepare. That's strange. Why would others be suspicious if you bring me along? The white-eyed wolf raised his brows. Because you're a wolf. As soon as Qin Feiyang finished speaking, he instantly vanished without a trace. A wolf? The white-eyed wolf was slightly stunned and said angrily, bastard, I've already transformed, okay? If it really doesn't work, I can still transform into a human. Although I'm a little unwilling, I'm willing to suffer for the sake of seizing the energy of the laws. No one knew what he was thinking, but in his eyes, transforming into a human was a very shameful thing. For the rest of the day, the white-eyed wolf didn't know where Qin Feiyang went, nor did he know what Qin Feiyang did. The next day, early in the morning, a man and a woman arrived outside the northern part of Ocean of Cloud City. The man wore a gorgeous golden robe, had a tall figure, an imposing appearance, and an extraordinary bearing. He stood out amongst the crowd like a crane amongst chickens. The woman wore a light violet dress. She had an exquisite figure, jet black hair that flowed down like a waterfall, and a world-shocking appearance that could charm all living beings. This man and woman were Chu Yun and the first prince of the dragon clan. There was a wide path outside the city gates, and 4 figures appeared when they were about to enter the path. They swiftly caught up to Chu Yun and the first prince. Surprisingly, the robust man who'd flaunted his strength before Elder Hua and the others 2 months ago was amongst them. As for the other 3, they were an old man in a golden robe, an old woman in a golden robe, and a thin middle-aged man in embroidered clothes. Obviously, they were the 4 followers of the first prince of the dragons. Why are all of you here as well? The first prince of the dragons stopped when he sensed their auras, and he turned around to gaze at them with a puzzled expression. We thought about it and felt worried, so we came to accompany you. The old woman in a golden robe spoke with a hoarse voice. End of this chapter. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.